Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to HLTV Confirmed. We're here for episode 21, and I don't even know if I'm ready to do this one here today, guys, but we'll see what happens because Lucas, he wants to get fired. He's on the chopping block. Lucas, can you say hi to everybody? Can they hear you?
Hello, guys.
Okay, that's Lucas. He's a producer. Now, we got Striker here as well. Striker, I got one for you, man. This is a big one. Would you rather have your dream job or the love of your life? You can only have one or the other. You can't have both.
That's so easy.
Dream job.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't you already have that though?
Well, we hate women here apparently.
That's why I say that, right? Because I know what it's like.
Okay, well, fair enough. Prof, here's one for you, mate. Now, we did one about, I think we did a grizzly bear versus a great white shark. Now we're going to do a silverback gorilla versus a grizzly bear. Who wins?
Oof.
Oof. Oof. Oof. I'm not a big animal knowledge person.
Okay.
But I think the gorilla is fucking insane. Like, it literally just knocks out the bear, like, instantly. Just one KO. Easy win.
All right. Well, smooya, you think you know who wins, but I'll get you in on this. Who's winning?
Yeah, I saw Joe Rogan get asked this question as well on one of his podcasts, and he said the gorilla would just tear the bear, like, one-shot him. I think Joe Rogan said the bear first, but then the animal expert was like, dude, the gorilla could just rip its head off if it wanted to.
Something about just how strong they are. Now, obviously, smooya's here, everybody. So, hi, smooya. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get you straight. We're going to do this real quick. We're going to throw you into the hot seat, and Lucas needs to play this bumper. All right, so we're back, and what we're going to do, smooya, because you made a tweet today when we announced, or yesterday, I fucking forgot which day it was. But you made a tweet, and you said that you want to clarify some things. So what do you want to clarify, mate? The floor is yours.
I mean, I wanted to be eased into it, maybe with some questions. Not
oh,
just
we can do that. I just thought maybe you had something that you wanted to talk about.
I mean, like the most part of it, that because I see a lot of people saying, he's signed, he's doing this and doing that. Like, I can confirm that I did sign a contract. Like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I can say that myself with confidence, at least, because like they don't really care. But the rest of it, I can't really talk so much about because some shit fucking popped off.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm allowed to swear, right? Of course, not.
Oh, all you want, as much as you want.
Yeah, and I had a huge plan and a huge script I wanted to follow when I came on here, and I've kind of just forgot it all. But it's basically
yeah. Is this like big strats all over again?
Well, no,
it's got beat the yell at you now.
Yeah, something like that. We can
ease you in. We can ease you in because Prof does a fantastic job here of giving me a guideline to go off. So we'll go off of that guideline. So now we're going to go back in time a little bit, back around to when you went over to North America and you were part of Chaos. Now, look, the interview you did with HLTV.org, if people want to go and have a read of that, I'm sure we can get the link at some point in the description, or we can get it in the chat or something going along those lines. But basically, that was a situation where you went over, there were some visa issues, then a global pandemic happened and you had to go home. But other than that, from that article, there was something about a mutual respect between you and Steel, even though you didn't see eye to eye. You want to give us some more on that?
Yeah, so when I first initially joined, like before everything happened, I was meant to team up with Josh for Chaos with Rush and everything, and a long time ago, before Rush joined Complexity, obviously. And we had like many talks. We went out to servers and spoke about CS to like see how we both fought, like mentioned scenarios, maybe even watch like a demo together to see like how we just see the game. And like then we agreed a lot because it's obviously a lot different when you're in the game and you're listening to the IGL. But no joke, like now that I'm out of like Chaos and I watched him play, I can see like he's definitely taken some of the stuff that I wanted to add on board and added it now, like some of the way he plays certain like 3v3s and stuff like that. But like overall, I can just say I had a lot of fun playing. He definitely taught me a lot of stuff too. Mostly, like I would say, the discipline side of it, like not overphase in practice. Just because you're practicing, don't lose your AWP and lose like $5,000, shit like that. Which is like, it sounds, everyone knows that, of course, but people in practice, if once you've played against a tier 1 team in practice, they don't practice like a tier 1 team, like most of them anyway, like tier 2, 3, whatever.
Sure.
So yeah.
So Striker or Prof, on this one here, do you guys have any questions around the Chaos time or with Steel?
Why do you think? Obviously, your stats were really, really good on the team. Obviously, you didn't really stay there for long, so the sample size was pretty small. But why do you think you played so well under Steel or with the team in general?
I think Steel believed in me a lot. Like he says, mechanically, I was pretty good. And he also I also know myself now after playing there the people in LA don't fucking use flashbangs like at all. So I swear to God, I think I went like 4 HLTV maps in a row without getting flashed one time. Like I'm talking like 80 rounds. Imagine me like I'm insanely bad at killing people when they walk into my crosshair. Like normally I'm like the guy who's just good at flicking, but I was so not flashed. I got good at hitting the easy shots because they were like, yeah, it was. I don't know. It got boring. Like, and that's when I wanted to like. I don't know. Practice was insane bad as well. And it is not the best like scene to be in if you want to like improve. But yeah, I would say that's why they just don't know how to use flashbang. But that's not like shit talking the teams I was playing. It's like go watch the demos. They didn't flash me. So
was some of that time that you were there though was when Katowice was going on? Was that an overlap in time?
Yeah. So literally, as I got there, I was like, right, we're gonna start practicing Liquid, EG, 100 Thieves. Boys, where are you all? They're all fucking Europe boot camping, and I'm sat there playing. I played like my first 8 maps were against New England Whalers, man. I'm just like, God, fucking damn it. Like, no disrespect, but I'm like, no joke. I played, I think my first 5 best of 3s, 4 of them were against the same players, and we just spanked them like 2-0 every time. I'm like, and then I'm practicing like in advanced teams, and I was like, ugh, it wasn't pretty. The practice schedule was like really bad because if you live like 1 meter away from someone else, they're like 5 hours behind you in America for some reason. It's insane weird. But
well, it's a big country, man. It's like Australia.
Know,
we have like so many different time zones too. I get where you're coming from there though. When I lived in Vegas and we wanted to practice, the East Coast guys couldn't play late, right?
Yeah, because it's like 3 hours ahead or something. And I'm just like, okay, it's weird.
It's pretty fucked like that. But look, so with this, with the small amount of time that you had, this one is less about you, but more it's still to do with your experience in terms of Steel as an individual. Is he someone who's still giving it 110%? Because for me, looking in, he's obviously not going to be able to play any majors or anything. But he still has the hunger for the game. Is that all still there?
Oh, 100%. The one thing I was very surprised with, I almost thought Chaos for him was like a cash grab, like he was just going there to get a salary, but it's like the complete opposite. He was equally as hardworking as myself, and I would like consider myself in Chaos, especially. In other teams, I've definitely been pretty lazy. Like in Big, I definitely wasn't like trying to improve the most. But in Chaos, he kept up with me. He would watch the same amount of demos with me. He would do maybe not the most deathmatch because he has a weird philosophy of deathmatch where he only DMs 1 time a week and he like triples his sense and then turns it back down before the official and he's just crisp. It makes no sense, but it works, like literally works. But yeah, he's definitely. I can't comment now because I've heard that he like might be switching to Valorant. I don't know if that's true or not. Because he's also sick at Valorant. Like he's literally just a gamer.
The thing is, he's one of those people where I obviously would see why he would do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's also insane at PUBG, man. He just plays that before official sometimes, and then I just watch him pop off on PUBG, and then he just 40 bombs in the official. It makes no sense.
Well, that would be the 3rd game he went pro in if he switches to Valorant.
He's really good, but yeah, I'd say he's all. The best thing about Josh is he's always looking to improve, which is like you would expect it to be quite common, but it's not that common. Like if he sucks in a position, he always wants to improve. So yeah, that's the question I would say. He's equally as hardworking now as he was 10 years ago. Easily, I would say.
Okay, so we'll move forward a little bit now to obviously the fallout. Now we all know that there was a Tiger situation in the cards. We'll get to that towards the end there. But when you came back to the UK, that meant that obviously I follow you on Instagram. You got to spend some time with your lovely girlfriend, so that must have been a positive right there. That must have been something that you could be happy with. But in terms of your work life and Counter-Strike life, what kind of transpired? Were you kind of just sitting there looking at a wall, going, "Fuck, what do I do next?"
Yeah, so the first month I was getting told, yeah, we're gonna bring you back to Chaos and stuff. So I was still like doing my DM every day, playing FPL like my normal life. And then I just randomly got a message like, hey, we need to call like 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, sure. I pick up the phone, yeah, we're dropping you. I'm like, oh, this is fucking sick. Like, cool, I guess. Right as everyone just made every roster change. It like wasn't their fault, of course. The global pandemic happened. Now I'm like way more, what's the word, like cool with it. I don't hate them for it because if I was in the position of them, I would also probably like remove me because I'm not useful to them, right? Like, I'm not playing for them. It makes sense. So I don't like hate them for it. Or at the beginning, I was like, yeah, fuck Chaos. I went on stream and was like, fuck you guys and stuff. But now there's really no bad blood like with anyone. Yeah, and then like the past month maybe has been like rough. I've had the craziest sleeping pattern. Like I'm not even gonna try lie and be like, yeah, I've been here grinding CS. Like I haven't. I've been waking up at like 9 p.m. and shit. It's fucked. Just playing a lot of World of Warcraft, but I'm still like watching all the CS, which is like what I need because the meta. What I've noticed, I saw Mad Lions play today, and they did triple smokes on A on overpass, but they smoked like close in front of the dice, like close to the site. And I sat there and just went, fuck, man, I need to watch more CS. Like, I didn't know what was going on because, of course, normally they do like the Astralis smokes. So yeah, no, I just need to watch like all the new events that's going on. And yeah, right now it's a bit of a mess. But like I said, I might be joining a team again soon, the second team.
The second team.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So that's something's happening, right?
That's a no comment. That's a no comment from day dot. That is a no comment. I'm not doing nothing to myself.
That's all right. I won't get you to say anything that you're not allowed to here. Professor, I get any questions during the pandemic time?
I was just wondering if you kind of talked about like not playing much CS, so I don't know if you have an answer, but I was wondering if that kind of confidence, like the easy confidence that you got in NA against obviously like lower tier teams, if that still kind of stayed on with you, or if you kind of like learned bad habits from those games.
Yeah, okay, there's a funny story actually. So imagine me, I'm quite like a cocky person in general. Like most things that I put hours into, I'm pretty good at. So I'm like, you know, I've got quite a big ego. Everyone knows that anyway. So I've just fucking farmed my life away in NA, and I come back to EU FPL, I queue a game, and I got dead last picked like save call. And I'm just saying, the people inside that lobby, I should never have been last picked. And that, as soon as I came back, I was like, I'm home. Like, I'm fucking back. Like, so there's no more like being like the big dog and stuff. So yeah, I definitely got reality check straight away coming back to FPL. But I mean, like, the FPL is still not just as easy. It's definitely harder. But yeah, I feel like I've definitely improved from when I played last time. But yeah, the ego got cracked a bit when I got last picked over some of these.
Well, there's lots of drama going on.
I just wanted to ask about about the return, and then obviously return home chaos thing happens. You're not in the team, and the coronavirus is going on. What is going on in terms of talking with teams? Obviously, you signed for a team. We know that, and then something happened. You can't really go to that team. But before that, like, how many teams were there? Teams that were interested? What was the kind of feeling in the air? Because a lot of people are saying that, you know, teams are going to be a bit scarcer with the money because of the potential like crisis and all of that. Valorant coming out. So how was that? Like, were there interested teams?
Yeah, I mean, funnily
were
enough,
there a lot of them?
Before Valorant was even released to the public beta keys, I got offered a Valorant team, which I found like kind of mind-boggling. I was just at that. I just said no instantly, but now I'm like, should I? Because times are kind of tough right now. But no, I don't think I'd switch to Valorant. But yeah, I can say, like, I think I'm allowed to say that I was in talks with Sprout. Like, I basically nearly signed the contract. Something happened where they couldn't pay me in pounds. They had to pay me in euros because of how their government works. And I basically said, like, I can't afford to get paid in euros because the way I pay tax. It was some weird, like, technical stuff. And it was just easy for them to go with Snatchy, who's, like, equally as good as me. So I said, okay, fair. Like, that's fine. Another offer I had was from... Fuck. It was from, let's say, a top 10 team.
Okay.
But I can't... I
top
cannot...
10 team.
So Astralis wanted you to stand in before they asked for
yeah,
you.
let's
That's
say that.
saying.
Yeah. Maybe top 12. I mean, they're definitely in top 100 team offered.
But okay, maybe top 12. So it's basically like
but that's another team. That's another team.
Well, he's talking about 100 Thieves, isn't he?
That's what I was gonna say.
It's not 100 Thieves.
It's not 100 Thieves.
It could be. It could be. I don't know. But I made a promise to the person that I wouldn't say the name ever in my life until it might happen.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that happened. But then that broke down because something happened with like whatever. I can't go into detail. Anyhow. And then my good friend Tiger came along, and the rest is history.
So the Tiger situation, you were going. Am I understanding this correctly? I don't care who tells me this. You don't have to say anything, Smooya, here. You and Snappi were going to join Urcast, Dobu, and fuck, what's the other guy's name? Is it NCL? Cabal. Yeah, NCL. You were going to join that team, and they were going to move to Europe. Is that the situation? Like,
I don't know, man. I don't even know who those guys are. Who the hell's Tiger, man?
Okay.
I know, but basically what was meant to happen, I mean, I've signed a contract, so I can say it. Like, the plan was they wanted to use us for the major to make the RMR stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they wanted to make the major with us, then because their goal is to be the best team in China or
Should
the
be pretty
Chinese
easy
scene.
to do. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if they picked up me and Snappi, then if, because this hasn't happened, but if they did, then that would be quite easy. And then basically what happened was and then they were meant to be having like boot camps in Europe. That's would have been the plan. So then they could have improved better like that.
Okay.
And that was how it was laid out to me. And like Snappi wasn't even meant to come originally, and then some other people were meant to come, and then I don't know, man. Just a lot of shit happened. And then now I'm left here waiting again. So
okay, so it's just a mess for you at the moment, basically.
dude, I'm gonna write a book someday about all the shit that's happened to me in my career, man. A lot of it was self-inflicted towards the start, but this is bullshit right now, man. This is not on me.
Well, look, if you get a couple more of these, you can maybe start to rival like Taz and Neo and stuff, who back in the day when you were probably just a little boy, they were getting fucked over constantly. But we've got the smooya situation. He's signed a contract, but we don't know where he's going, and he can't give us any information other than he's playing FPL and sleeping poorly. And World of Warcraft.
Yeah, a lot of World of Warcraft. Holy shit.
All right. Now, before we move on to recent news, Prof or Striker, got any questions right now for Smooya? Because we might have some when we get to playtime from viewers and stuff like that coming in. But
I just wanted to ask about the Mongolian guys. Obviously, like Urkas had some international experience, but what is your how much did you know about them? What is your take on them as players and
I
international?
literally have no answers to the question. I didn't even like watch them play or anything. Yeah, I mean, I know Urkas. I knew him when he was in
Greyhound.
Yeah. Like I actually spoke to him on Twitter and shit. Like we were like, I won't say we were friends, like best friends, but we knew of each other. The rest of them, like I didn't know. I mean, I still don't know.
Officially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking bullshit, man. But yeah, that's life.
All right. Well, we're going to move it forward then. So, Lucas, play the recent news bumper. Let's get stuck into it. All right, we're back and we got the recent news. I'm really confused because I don't know what Smooya was allowed to say and what he wasn't allowed to say because I don't even know what's going on anymore. But I'm glad we got through that one and everyone's still here. No one's internet's being cut off. No phone calls have happened. The stream's still going. So we're good to go. So we're going to start off with 100 Thieves picking up ImAPet as a coach. This was kind of rumored for a little while ago. And now
actually, I don't think it ever was like officially rumored. Let's say, like, I don't think it ever came out in an article, which was surprising to me as fuck because like it was in the works for a long time.
Yeah, so maybe when I say it was rumored, maybe people just told me, and I
pretty
just
much
thought that was a rumor. But yeah, so
because it was done like for like a month before it actually got announced or something like that. Pretty much like. So it's
really?
like it was surprising to me that nobody really caught wind of the fact that he's already pretty much locked in.
I know that when it was like when I first started hearing things about it, I kind of reached out just to see if it was the case, and that seemed to be the direction that they were going. And I think this is one of the things which is still relatively new for the org, like the team, not the org, is having a different coach, right? Because before JKS and Azza, they had PK when I was back on the team, and he had no coaching experience whatsoever. He was just a guy from Australia, right? So they've only had Kassad and now and ImAPet. Now I think
Ryu for
like 4 months or something, right?
When Nifty was in the team.
I completely forgot about that. You're right. That did happen. That kind of makes sense. It was what was it? It was Nifty part of Selfless.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So now that Chet's there, I would say that he's quite a different coach from Kassad. Now, they've played a couple of games since Striker. Do you notice any differences in the team really since then?
Well, first of all, they started playing Overpass.
Yeah, I did. Well, they used it as a punish pick, didn't they?
Yeah, but they clearly put work in it though.
Okay.
That's one of those things. So I think they actually play 7 maps now.
Damn.
Okay. Well, I don't even know if they played 6 maps well before, but
I'm not saying well. I'm just saying that they actually are playing.
They give it a crack. They're giving it a crack. Okay, so Chet's come in and he's automatically. Well, now I suppose for NRG and EG, Overpass was a map that they played. Contrasting wise here, Prof, do you think this is maybe a better coaching style for 100 Thieves, being more analytical in the interviews and stuff? There was stuff about not doing VOD reviews and stuff like that we were talking about.
That was a fun part of that interview with ImAPet. For people that didn't read or didn't hear, it was literally, he said that 100 Thieves / Renegades didn't do more than like 3 VOD reviews per year. So I don't know, like that implicitly says something about Kassad, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't on him. Maybe the players didn't want. Like it wasn't really explained. I don't know. I presume since the players are open to it now, that it wasn't down to them. But I don't know. At the same time, like Kassad was on a Serbian podcast the other day, and he did not. He just laughed about that. He didn't say anything, so I can't say. Like,
it actually was brought up, like this exact point.
Yeah, this question was brought up, but he didn't say much about it.
Okay, curious.
So I really don't know what's going on there. Would be interesting to hear a bit more about. But other than that, like you can make the case both ways, I guess. Like if these like chill Australian dudes should have like a more aggressive coach, or maybe a more like passive guy like ImAPet. I think both has its benefits. But obviously, like if something didn't work with Kassad, then it makes sense to go like to the complete opposite. It's like you break up with a blonde girl, you go with a brunette.
We've all made those mistakes before, haven't we? But smooya, you actually played with Renegades 100 Thieves earlier last year, right?
Like
last year
or something, yeah.
Yeah. So from your take of that small amount of time that you got to play with them, what type of coach or what type of steps in the right direction would have made them a better team just from your small amount of time of playing with that group? Like what do you think that they need from a coaching perspective?
From a coaching, like I can say me and Kassad had we didn't really get off on like the right foot initially, because he doesn't really like people to talk back and stuff like that. And he once said something and I was completely in the wrong, and I basically said like shut up, and he just started laughing at me. He's like, dude, you're so bad you don't even realize it. And I was like, that's actually kind of true. Like, because I was so wrong in the situation, so fair play to him. But yeah, he's a very passionate guy, loves to if you're having a bad game, he can definitely bring you back into it, which is that I feel like after playing with those people, I feel like they may need. I don't think a passive guy could work that well. Maybe it could. I don't know. Like from my experience with playing, they're all pretty quiet people. Leah's. Oh god, I have such a funny story about Leah's, man. The first time I ever met that guy, we had the most fucking awkward handshake I will ever have in my life. It was insane funny, man. Holy hell. But yeah, so him, Jake, yes, like they're all pretty quiet. Like you know them, like probably personally, right? So I don't think having a quiet coach could benefit them in that sense. Like they need someone to pump them up. Normally it's
I'm not sure that ImAPet is really a quiet coach. Maybe he's not a particular cheerleader or anything, but I think he will be able to impose his will on the team. It's not like he's not going to be impactful.
No, I think that's what they need though. They need a cheerleader, like literally, because I mean they don't have a problem with letting someone tell them what to do. Like they're all like they don't have any egos in the team at all. Like I was very surprised by that. Like for how good the players are, they all, if I had an idea, they listened instantly, and I was like, well, that's quite risky, guys. Probably why we lost. Probably why we lost most of our games. But yeah. So I don't think it's to do with like imposing will. I really think it's just sometimes if they lose like 5 rounds in a row, it's GG. Like, oh, that's how it felt. Like, I don't know. But then Kassad would like slap the back of our chair, like fucking wake up, you pussy. I'm like, yeah, let's go, dude. I'm back in the game. I get one tap again. I'm like, yeah, okay, GG. But
okay,
I don't know. I don't think it will work that well. But Chet's also a really good coach, so maybe he can make it work. Like, he's also really good. So.
Well, that was my next question to you. Is obviously you have a closer connection to the player base than what we do on this side of things. What's the general consensus about Chet as a coach? Have you heard anything on the grapevine?
Weirdly, again, another person I was gonna link to the team with, weirdly enough, from America, who was gonna come to Europe way before he got the EG offer or NRG at the time. I think he's he's just the most calm person I've ever met. Like I've never heard him rage, and he also, have you guys heard his voice? Dude, if I had that guy's voice in my ear when I was playing, I would never miss a shot. It's the crispest, like it's when I heard him talk for the first time, I was like, what the fuck is that? Like it's just the nicest voice. I mean,
it's like ASMR.
Yeah, it's not important, but no joke, to like just feel calm when you hear your coach's voice is quite nice. Like I've never really had that before. But I think he has like, he's just a hard worker. Like he's like DMG in game, so he can't be that good himself, but I think he knows a lot because he watches every game. He also plans a lot of, like you said, the demo review, and I heard he helps a lot with that stuff. Just like bringing the team together in that sense, like in improving, not like the guys, let's go. Like he's not like a football coach to make you run through a wall. You know what I mean? Like he's not that guy, but he can like help you. What's the word? Like just to improve in general.
Okay, so Striker, you and Chet seem to have a decent relationship. Do you know much about like his coaching style from just having talked with him?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that he is much more on the analytical side in general. Like I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. He's very, because he even came from that background, right? He wasn't even the coach originally. He started out as an analyst, right, and then transitioned into a coaching role. But I think it's also obvious that he's kind of learned the other part of the job as well, where he knows how to work with personalities and stuff like that a lot more than he used to. I think he even talked about it when he was on the podcast, I don't know, like half a year ago or something, like a few months ago, probably. So I feel like he's definitely a hard worker. I've even heard that from other people, and it's not just obvious from my conversations with him. So that's why I'm pretty confident that he's going to bring something to the team. I'm not sure if the team is ever going to reach like a new peak or anything with him, but I think they will be a little bit more consistent than before, potentially.
Okay, so Prof, if we had to outline the biggest woes of 100 Thieves when they had Kassad, what are the things that you think that Chet or the team needs to fix going forward if they want to have any kind of progression at all?
But like it's a good question, because the last LAN that they played was Katowice, and they actually did well there. They made semis or quarters, something like that.
Quarters, losing to Fnatic in both games overtime, I think.
Yeah, it was like they won that
close match against Nullsports in the deciding game of group stage.
That's right.
Like the lower bracket, like mega close, like in overtime or something, had to come back or even, and then I think they lost in the quarterfinals. Yeah,
Fnatic played like shit, and they still like scraped through that game. I remember that.
The thing is, like, were they actually, like, they had their ups and downs. They had like bad periods and then good periods. I wouldn't say like, it's not like some, like, I don't know, Fnatic now win a tournament then like bomb last place. It was like consistent, like poor periods, then good periods, and it seemed like they were going on a good trajectory before the whole online CS Corona everything happened. And then I don't really know what happened to the team, and Kassad left pretty soon after that. Online CS, American CS, which I'm gonna admit I don't watch that much, so I can't really say that there was like a huge gaping problem. Obviously, like from an outside simplified point of view, it just they have JKS and then some good players. And comparing to all the other teams in that area, it seems like just from a individual standpoint, they're kind of on a lower level. So that's the thing, and I don't think a coach is responsible or can change that.
Okay. So the ones that I was like gravitating towards was if in a way that they could implement Gratisfaction and he's more consistent, right? Like not necessarily finding a lot more opening kill impact, but just being a more consistent AWP for the team. That'd be one. I think Striker already outlined the fact that they're playing overpass as well, which is going to make them less predictable within vetoes, which is going to make them harder to deal with. That's another good point there. And if they start doing VOD reviews and they're actually looking at their own game, their fundamentals are pretty good, right? Like their spacing, their trading, their flash work. You don't think so? Do you think that's off?
I mean, that was like the thing they focused on the most when I was there. Kassad strictly said like, if we just literally flash right and trade like we're not bots, they can beat anyone. But going off the point you said about Gratisfaction, like he needs to play better and stuff. When I played there myself, like I didn't have the most impact, like maybe from the outside, because he has a super support role. Like he throws every grenade I've ever seen. Like I got sent a folder and had to learn maybe like 50 grenades. I can't say I learned them all. I learned about 45 of them, and the only 5 they needed were the 5 that I didn't fucking learn. So that's pretty cool. But they have like a huge playbook. But as it just goes default everyone, default. And for an AWPer, when you have like no set goal, but you're not allowed to go for a pick, but you are. But if you do, then like it's pretty hard to play. Yeah, it's really rough. So I can say like personal experience, I can't say it's hard for the AWP to perform in that team. Of course, like I can't say I wasn't there for that long, but I've noticed recently. I'm not sure if you've Prof or things, sorry, if you've been watching them, but he has way more freedom when they play now. And he's right past 3 months, he's actually 1.1, which is like a lot higher than his average in 100 Thieves and Renegades. So I think the next couple of months he could really start finding some form, because he's insane, man. If you watch I think I watched one of their practice demos they had, and he had like 45 kills. And then I checked HLTV, and he like never had like more than 20 at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, you need to do this. Like, let him do this, and you'll win more games, you know.
That's what I was. That's
Yeah.
definitely something that I can see happen, just because there was a time where Grat was viewed, like, obviously it was based on FPL and practice and that type of stuff. But I heard on Twitter from like multiple pros saying like Grat is fucking insane and stuff like that. He's gonna be the next big opera.
Crazy in FPL.
But
Holy
obviously
shit.
it never happened. Like a year, maybe this is like a year back that I heard this or saw this on Twitter like discussed. And obviously he's never become a star in that team, like not even close, not consistently. So for that, if that happens, obviously like that's going to be able to, the 100 Thieves are going to be able to reach a new peak. The question is it going to happen? Is ImAPet going to be able to like give him more space and is he going to use it? That's my question, I guess.
I would say so, judging Cirque, because
sure.
I feel like 50% of Cirque's improvement came from Chet and making him work hard, join the server, learn the grenades, practice the angles, think about rotations, how to win clutches and stuff. Because Cirque, when he first joined, he wasn't the best clutcher man. And then when Chet joined 6 months later, any 1v2, I give 80% chance for Cirque to win. Like, he just got really good like that. I can't say it's all Chet, obviously. Maybe it's not right, but I feel like there's a good correlation to it.
Okay. So we'll look out for that, I guess, as 100 Thieves progress. I think they have a match in the Blast stuff coming up, right? There's a day off today, and then tomorrow.
There's Triumph tomorrow.
Yeah, so that one, I guess we keep our eyes on that, see if they continue to improve. They're still just hanging on there with just outside the top 10 at the moment. So maybe this is a good change. I feel that, you know, a coaching change as well. It's almost like maybe these days, like almost like a player change would be, right? So if it's a fresh voice, a fresh way of looking at the game, maybe that'll help spice things up for them. But we can take a look at the next little bit of news here. And Lucas, I believe you have something that you need to pull up for Prof, as we're looking at the Zipex taking leave situation and Astralis bringing in Snappi. Now, look, what's the go with this tweet here, Prof?
We had just like a small poll on our HLTV Confirmed Twitter. Let me just pull it up for myself as well to see how it's doing. Overall, it's a simple question. Obviously, Zipnik stepping down, a lot of theories circulating around, like what is actually going on. Is he burnt out? Is he not? So I just want to see like what the community thinks about the whole thing. And it seems like it's kind of split, more or less, almost 50-50. 45% for burnout and 55% for a different reason, which is undisclosed or shadily hidden by Astralis or whatever you want to believe.
Did you check the comments on that tweet? Look at the Russian guy. We should get him on the podcast. He says, well, I just started saying, he says, different reason, 1,000%.
1,000%.
Okay.
Like
This is Slovakia. This is Slovakian flag, by the way. So just saying.
Close enough.
Just saying.
Anyhow, we should get him. I feel like he knows him. He knows something that we don't.
I mean,
Guardian Stick goes somewhere. I just big mega triggered about this.
So,
it is as well. Holy shit! Okay.
So, Prof, do you want to give a little bit of a backstory around the purpose of this tweet, or why this may even be a question mark?
Well, I think generally people, like the way the Zipnik's announcement was handled, it was vastly different to the Glaive one, and also it was so close to the Glaive one that if they wanted to do both, they could have just done it at the same time. It would make more sense than to do like, oh, one player stepping down, and then next week, oh yeah, another player is also stepping down. Like, you don't want two bad news, you want one bad news. So you could bundle it together. If this was something that was planned, and you don't really get burnout, you don't get burnt out in 1 week. Like, yeah, it can add up, but like it doesn't really happen that fast, right? It doesn't really. So a lot of people it doesn't really make sense. And the whole announcement was for the Glaive one was kind of different. The wording of things said like, 3 months, blah, blah. And then Zipnik is just like, Zipnik's, he's out. We got Snappi. Enjoy. This is now Astralis. So it's kind of weird. And then a lot of community figures were kind of guessing what could have been going on about the whole thing.
Okay, so I've sent Lucas. I don't know if he's seen it yet. Lucas, bring up this tweet for me. This is from the Astralis group, and this I believe was today. I'm not 100%. My days are all kind of blurring into one. And this is where we should have done this a long time ago. It's not healthy industry when teams and players are punished for taking breaks or calling players with burnouts liars. Now, I assume I'm going to be honest here. I haven't caught up with any of like Richard or Duncan's content completely, but I know that there was some stuff that I believe that there was some stuff that they were talking about where this is not all above board, right? This isn't as it seems or as they're trying to push. That's from their camp, right? Now, I don't know. I'm going to be honest here, guys. I don't really keep up with this business side of it. I just kind of watch the game. Now, that's my own fault. But as far as this is concerned, I can see where Prof's coming from in terms of if their glaive's gone and they knew this was going to be an issue, yeah, do it all at once. So it feels like to me that either ZipX has gone, fuck, this is going to be real shit to play with that glaive. So let's get out of here and take a bit of time off while we can, because it probably would have been real shit to play with that glaive. Having 2 AWPers in your team wouldn't have made any sense at all, really, right there. Or it is like genuine burnout, right? Because Striker, we were talking about this since the pandemic's happened. Just correct me where I'm wrong here, because I'm definitely going to be wrong about a couple of bits and pieces. We went into the emergency pro league format, right, where everything kind of got thrown together the best they could. Then from there, we went pretty much straight away into RTR.
Yep.
From RTR, we went pretty much straight into DreamHack Masters.
Yep.
From DreamHack Masters, we've gone now into the Blast event, which is on as we speak right now.
Yep.
After this Blast event, we have the finals of the DreamHack Masters. Once that is over, we have the finals for the Blast event. Once that's over, we have We Play and Summit running the other RTR events, RMR events, sorry. And then we have the player break starting on the 6th. So
By the way, how stupid is it that they call it Road to Rio? Because people just keep making the mistake all the time. Like they keep calling like all the RMR events Road to Rio. And in general, it sounds like that's what it is, right? That it is the Road to Rio. So it's just like, I feel like the marketing on this thing was just so fucked.
Well, either it's fucked or it's great. If you look at it from ESL's perspective,
maybe,
we're all out here calling it RTR when we should be calling it RMR. But it's just confusing as hell for people, clearly. But I think the point here, Striker, and this is probably where I give you the mic, is that this is a lot of Counter-Strike by anyone's standards, right?
I mean, we've literally had I think we had since the start of RTR, because I think there was like a bit of a break between Pro League and RTR.
Maybe?
Yeah, something like that. I seem to remember. I don't actually have this checked, but I seem to remember that there was actually a week or at least a few days off. But since the start of RTR, I don't think we had more than 1 day off Tier 1 CS in the past almost 3 months.
And
like over 2 months. Over 2 months for sure. And we won't have exactly until the break. Literally, Summit is going on until the break happens, and that's the best teams in the world, basically.
That's 2 months and 4 days from now. That is when the player break is.
Yeah.
So
no, a month.
It starts.
Oh, fuck,
month
we're in June. I thought we were still in May. Fuck, we're in June again. Never mind. My calendar.
No, it's still it would be like 4 months in a row where we have maybe like a day off at most off Tier 1 CS. Like a few single days off, like within those 4 months. Like that's pretty insane.
So would we be saying here now, online Counter-Strike, it seems what's happening right now, and anybody can take this point if they agree with it, is that because it's open slather, it means everybody can basically compete within these same tournaments within reason. Obviously, we're having like the Spirits of the world who are pumping in so much time, the Furias of the world, that's another example right there, who are putting in so much work, who are just going absolutely gangbusters, that it's forcing all the other teams to put in a lot of work as well, right? So even if you are an Astralis or a Na'Vi or a Fnatic or a fucking Mousesports or whatever, if you don't do the work now during this online period, you're going to lose some games. And we can see like the negative pressure that's coming in from that. So
yeah, look at Mousesports one. They've lost a lot since it's online.
So with that in mind, there has to be some burnout coming through, right? Because if you're having to now go 7 days a week from tournament to tournament to tournament to tournament, and you're always reviewing and people are always looking at you and more of your demos are out there because you've been playing at more events, and you don't know the strats of fucking Copenhagen Flames because 4 months ago, nobody gave a fuck who Copenhagen Flames were, right? So it's like now you've just gone from your same maybe 20 teams that you're always focusing on to like probably the scope on 50, 60 different teams. Right now, Complexity are playing another home story cup.
I was about to mention this right now, man. Look what they're playing.
Like, what's going on? Like, smooya, is this too much CS,
They lost to Taz's team this morning, by the way.
And now they beat them 2-0.
Now they beat them back, so it's like they're fine. But
it's
crazy.
It was
Curious because they went with like a what? How many series streak or something like 7?
It was wild, yeah.
Honor has never won any, not even won a map or something, or like one map out of like whatever the last 6, and then beat Complexity 16-6. Didn't really make any sense to me.
It's hard though, because like I've also been in this sort of period. With like I remember in Big when the time when we did good at the major and stuff, we had a 6-week travel period, which was like 3 weeks boot camp, then 3 weeks of events, and it was the worst idea we ever had, having a 3-week boot camp, because Big's boot camps are not like regular teams. It's like 10 a.m. till 1 in the morning every day. It's intense. Like, of course it works in practice. Like when I was there, we were insane in practice, and then we peaked too early. You know, like MMA fighters don't train insane hard the last week of the fight because they want to rest. Like, of course, your body needs rest. But we did it like the opposite way and peaked in practice and smashed everyone. But the reason why I feel like I've just gone off mouse sports as an example. So the way I saw it as is you need the week's break. That's where the burnout comes from, right? Because of course, if you do anything for 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, if for best example is if you're eating a chocolate cake, right? The first 5 bites are fucking amazing. But when you're halfway through a chocolate cake, you think, fuck me, man, I want to eat anything but this chocolate cake right now. And half the CS players have ate like 12 chocolate cakes right now, and they're so sick of chocolate cake. And they want like, they'll even eat a salad right now. They don't give a shit, but even I would eat a salad after fucking 12 chocolate cakes. But yeah, so that's, and then eventually you start going to games and, okay, today I want deathmatch before my game because I just want to wake up. I want to sleep more. I just want to go up to the movies with my. I can't go to the movies now, but because of Corona. But you know what I mean. Like, you want to go for a walk or do something different than look at a screen.
Yeah.
So I definitely see where it's coming from, because I felt that towards the end of that 6-week like hiatus where we were just away traveling. I got home and just laid on my bed and thought, fuck, man, I didn't even turn my PC on for like 3 days because I just can't look at my screen anymore.
I feel like it's so exaggerated at these times as well, just because, of course, you're gonna get pissed at the game, or you're just gonna get fed up with the game if you have nothing else to do. Like, if you literally have nowhere else to go, then be at home and play some CS or play other games. It doesn't matter. Just sit in front of the screen for days at a time.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, and you're fucking in a submarine with all the same people at the same time. Like, this is not a good atmosphere to be in for months at a time. Like, that's not good at all.
So here, obviously, because teams were already with the Pro League situation, and obviously Flashpoint was on at the same time, and then we had the RTR event, which everybody had to play. Then DreamHack kind of still went when they were scheduled, I think, and then Blast is definitely going when they are scheduled. But obviously, this outcome right now is caused by the unfortunate situation we all find ourselves in, right? I was reflecting on the calendar of how, like, the first half of my 2020 would have looked. Now, I was meant to do up a mock one of these. I fucked it up. I couldn't get it to work properly. But what I can do is kind of just run you guys through how the year would have looked probably up until this point. And then we can say, is that too much Counter-Strike, or would that have been enough, right? So the year started with nothing. We didn't kick off with any real events until we had the Ice Challenge, right? The Ice Challenge was the first event there.
London, right?
Yeah, and that was towards the tail end of January.
Blast,
yeah, tail end of January. It had just kicked off, and then Blast had kicked off. So basically, if we just said the entire month of February, which is almost the case here, was Counter-Strike, that was the case. Like, the Blast was obviously 4 different teams on different weekends, so not everybody was playing for the whole month. But basically, for the better part of a month, all the tier 1 teams had 1 week of competition. I feel like that's a fair way to frame that, right? Like, that was February. So everybody had 1 week of competition. Then we moved. We had the better part of a week off, and everybody went to Katowice, where they had another tier 1 teams. Everybody had 1. So that's when we're at the tail end of February. And where are we here? We're starting. We basically just bled over into March. The grand final was at the start of March. So in February, right there, like, that's the whole month that's basically been tournaments. So then we would have had a decent break. I believe it was either a 2-week break before Pro League kicked off. Everybody would have been involved. That's a month where not everybody plays every week, but you would play probably overall 14 days out of the 2021 days that was scheduled there. So that's the amount of Counter-Strike you would have had in the month of April. Then once we moved forward, we had the minors. After the minors, basically went straight into Challenger, went straight into Legends, went straight into Champion. We're already at the end of May, right? Like, that's, I mean, we're already at the end of April, start of May, getting into June, where we are now. And then there would have been DreamHack into Blast on either side. And then we would have had ESL1 Cologne. And then we would have had the player break, right? Like that's how that would have gone. Now that to me didn't sound like too much when the year was kicking off, but now because it's been back to back, it is too much. So Smooya, from a player's perspective, because this is what we're trying to get to here, we asked Regin from a coaching perspective, from a player's perspective, how many tournaments for tier 1 teams, right? For tier 2, for tier 3, for the grinders, right? For the guys who have to grind to get to that level, they go on a DreamHack Opens, they're doing ESCAs, they're doing whatever. I get they have to play a lot more, but for the tier 1s, how much Counter-Strike do you think they should be competing in let's say a month or a 6-month basis, whatever you think is fair?
Yeah, like I've got, just pulling up a calendar. So this month has 30 days, right? So let's say for me, you need to have at least one rest day a week that's needed. But this, what I wanted to say actually before when I was talking about when we played a lot, what's happening now is because there's so many random cups that are coming up and this, that, the other. The days you're meant to have for practice now become a lot shorter. So for example, if you have a best of 3 at 7 p.m., if you're not a cyborg, like Blame F and all these complexity guys who apparently wake up at 10 a.m., practice from 10 till 6, 1 hour break, then play 2 best of 3s, like my brain can't do that. But those guys are they're the grinders like you're talking about. So those days that you're meant to have as practice days or rest days are now gone. So that's where the burnout comes into play, right? Because if you're used to like everyone normally has Saturday off, that's like the day you find hard to get practice. I'm not sure if it was the same when you played. Friday, Saturday, then Sunday starts again. But now it's like, fuck, that's when you have 2 best of 3s on Friday. All right, boys, let's take tomorrow off practice. Oh, Blast is starting. Okay, fuck, we should probably practice day. Boys, when's that next off day? Yeah, we're booked up till September, mate. All right, I'm quitting. Fuck this. Like, that's really how it is. I think going back to, I think 4 days of rest, 1 day a week is fine. You need roughly 3 practice days, 3 days for officials. But I'm a big believer in when you have an official, you should not play too much before. Maybe one practice before just to get warm and get like the bullshit jumping headshots out the way. Like that's what I call that game, like the lucky game when people no scope you and stuff like that. But yeah, no more. But of course, in this day and age, it's impossible to have that, man. Because if you don't do that, then the Copenhagen Flames of the world, who are willing to play 12 hours a day and play an official, will overtake you because they're practicing more, playing more, learning more. So it's a weird situation to be in, man. Like there's no right answer. So.
Okay, so with that in mind, Prof, with what Smooya is saying, and I always make the comparison of open circuit with Counter-Strike to tennis, right? Because it's the closest one that I can find with my limited knowledge of sport. Now, as far as I understand, with tennis and the APT, right, you collect points to play in the Grand Slams and shit, right? Like that's pretty much how that works. So if you're some shit rank, you want to be going to as many of the events that will have you so that you can get points so that you can go to the bigger tournaments.
Yeah, I mean the points are essentially the ranking, right?
Yeah.
And then the invites come from the ranking. So it's not like a road to Rio. Let's just say it's more like HLTV ranking than the road to Rio points, if that makes sense. But for people that are introduced to it, like, so it's very consistent and it just lasts until it decays, right? So it's just a classic ranking where you get points for doing well at events. But yeah, I don't know. Was there a question at the end of that?
Well, the point, the direction I wanted to take this is because Counter-Strike is open circuit for the most part, right? We know the ESL have their conversations going on. We know Flashpoint have their conversations going on. Like we know how that's kind of set in itself there. But because there are so many different TOs and we have so many different like things happening all the time, and there's online tournaments, there's LAN tournaments, there's those bits and pieces. Do you feel that Counter-Strike can succeed as an open circuit situation with the current model? Let's not include what Astralis are doing by adding a 6th and 7th member. Or do you think that's where teams now have to get deeper rosters if we are going to have teams just playing almost year round and having almost 2 rosters in the same team? Because just to tie that back in with our conversation here, the way that I look at this is with the Counter-Strike right now, as is 5 players a coach in a team, it's too much CS at the moment. But do you think Astralis are onto the right play if Counter-Strike is going to stay like this, and this is the way that the tournaments are going to run non-stop, 365 days a year? You take a break whenever you're not going to be whenever you're going to be a pussy is when you take a break, right? So
every day.
That's what I mean. Like, so do you think that the orgs are going to make the shift and get deeper rosters so they can field teams at shit events that they know they have to go to, and they keep their big boy teams for the majors and shit? Or like, which do you think is better for Counter-Strike, and which do you think is more likely to happen?
I think having like everyone go to 10-man rosters is definitely worse for Counter-Strike, because I think the quality of CS will be a lot worse, and then every event will have some fucking we'll have a Yugi in Astralis situation for half of the teams at half of the events. And then it'll be even worse, like what we always talked about, SPUNJ, is like, the Super Bowl for this team and then just another event for another team.
Yeah.
This is going to be times 10 because every event someone is going to be playing with a sub of some kind. And no one's going to be 100%. Like, someone is going to be 100%, but most of the teams won't be. And then we'll only have really the majors and maybe a couple of other events where you have like the full-on teams. And then that's going to be complete bullshit, because then it's really going to get like kind of pointless to watch the DreamHack Masters. But I think that what actually happened this year is a combination of obviously Corona happening, but it's what we were talking about at the beginning of the year. It's the ESL building their thing and trying to make like a circuit. So they did the ESL Pro Tour, and now DreamHack Masters is a part of everything. So you need to contractually attend these events. You can't just skip 3 events that you don't want to play, because then that goes down to your bottom line and the finances you get from ESL and from the whole tour thing. So then, of course, teams will try to figure out a way how to, let's say, I don't want to say play it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Like it's not like they are some evil villains because they're playing with the Yugi and whatever.
Sure.
But they're just finding a way to make it good for themselves. But at the end, like, if everyone starts doing this, I think it's going to be bullshit. Like, for me, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see everyone having 10 players and just like showing up to whatever tournament in China with like 5 backup players, like reserve Astralis playing there. And I think that it would just be bullshit.
But it's also, if you like consider the fact that if most orgs right now are losing money on CS, if they have to pick up 10 players, we're going to lose many orgs. Like, think of half of your favorite orgs. Like, I can't really name any off the top of my head, but a lot of them are just going to get, they can't afford CS teams. It's already, no CS team makes money. Like, their org makes money off CS. So imagine having to pay 4 more bastards or 5 more bastards, and then that team needs a coach as well. So now you have 2 coaches, 10 players. Yeah, we're going to lose half our orgs. It's like impossible to.
But Smooth, just one for you. Would you be a 6th or 7th man on a team if someone came
Astralis,
to you?
the money I've heard,
well,
they're
not for
fucking
Astralis.
6th or 7th for getting. I'll be the 10th player on Astralis if I'm getting that kind of money. I'll tell you that. Sonny
Okay.
Jim.
Okay, all right. But as a legitimate concept, would it be something that you'd consider?
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be who's the AWPer instead of me, man.
Well, no, but like, so any team. Let's just picture any team. It doesn't even matter. You could let's use Astralis, right?
Astralis, so it's about ego too, basically. Like, if the AWPer on the team is not
good, let's say 100 Thieves. Let's say 100 Thieves.
100
because
Thieves?
you played on that team and they want like a second AWPer. It doesn't mean you can't become the first AWPer at some point, but let's say in theory...
So is it kind of like, let's say we see it as the way I think would be best is you have the main team and an academy team, right? Let's just say it like that. So
let's say
the shit team you say you're sent to an event is like your academy team, let's say, right? So if I'm on 100 Thieves Academy, would I join 100 Thieves Academy? Is basically, I mean, if my team's not shit around me, then yeah, sure. Like, but I don't want to be like, it's really hard to say, man.
But you have to think about it. You won't be playing the majors with that. You're just gonna be playing. You're only be playing Pro League. You're gonna be playing like some like second tier tournaments.
I mean, everyone
MDL and NA. Yeah.
I've already been there, dude. I mean, everyone has a price, right? Like, if it's okay, like it people say money doesn't matter and stuff. Like, it definitely does. I'm not gonna go join 100 Thieves Academy for £500 a year. Like, of course not. But yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I'm not saying I'd ask for $1 million to play for a second team, of course not. But yeah.
But what about the scenario that is going on in Astralis right now, where you're basically not guaranteed to play at all, like for periods of time, unless one of the main guys. I know they don't want us to believe that that's what it is, but obviously, with what's been happening so far, I think we can pretty much say that Yugi and Snappi are not going to be. Well, Snappi especially, because he was just like, he's basically a stand-in.
Yeah,
but Yugi isn't.
Yeah, I would say like, to answer that, again, it's very weird asking me of all people, because right now I'm stuck in Europe and there's nowhere to go in Europe. So I would have to take it. You know what I mean? Like, because I just want to play.
But right in a scenario where you have other options, maybe not as good of a team, but you'd at least get to play.
Yeah, but in this scenario, then I would. But in other scenarios, no, because I feel like if the NA market is open, I'll always have a place to go, because I feel like I'm not like that bad. and NA teams and NA teams need AWPers, right? I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying like I don't see myself as being a complete bot. So I hope I can always get an offer from an NA. But right now I can't because of the pandemic. But in this situation, then yeah, I would play as Astralis 11th man. Sure, I'll play in the third team because I just want to play games. Literally, I just want to start practice. It's annoying me that I'm not in a team. So yeah.
Okay, so Striker, we're gonna close this one down. But in terms of the Snappi to Astralis situation, do you think that was because they needed probably an in-game leader as well to step up to the plate, or just someone who was available?
I don't think it had anything to do with leadership at all. I'm pretty sure from everything that we've heard, not just from Astralis, but even from the rumors that surrounded all this and that happened before this, it's pretty clear that this situation came in as a surprise. They didn't know about this for a long period of time before, as they did with Glaive, I would assume. This came more of as a surprise, so they just wanted to grab whoever they could that made like any sort of sense. I don't think they were looking at in-game leaders specifically. I think they're pretty set on Magisk in-game leading for the time being, as long as Glaive is out. So I don't think that was the case at all.
The bigger issues I have right now, like, because I don't know what the deal with Snappi going forward is, they're never going to tell us the root of they're never going to tell us the truth of the matter, right? I don't think we'll ever find that out. But I think what is clear here to me is if they wanted to do this and actually invest in the future of the team, then they should have gotten young players. They should have invested in, like, Esatag I get, because I think he's a very good all-rounder, right? He could fit any single role. But Yugi and Snappi, like, they're very particular.
Yugi's young.
Yeah, but
yeah, but
he's been young from
he's been young for a long
2017.
time. That's what I was going to say.
But I mean, what is young, right?
When I say young, what I mean, Smooya, when I say young, I don't actually mean their age. What I mean is the fact that have they come and succeeded in the scene, or have they come and they flopped in the scene, or have we not seen them before? And usually when I'm talking about young players, I'm talking about ones that we haven't really seen in the tier 1, so that they could get some talent. But unfortunately, they're in this situation. Well, these are the two players they've got, right? I don't see them.
Snappi is one of the finest IGLs in Europe, I'll have you know.
I think Snappi is a very good in-game leader, but I don't think they need an in-game leader. I think that they need some people who can kill people, right? So that's
Snappi can also do that. He's a beast.
He can. You're right, but we're going to move on. We're going to talk about. we're going to talk about my favorite thing that happened in the news of all time recently. It's the Maikelele memoirs.
Of all time recently. Do you realize what you just said?
I don't know what I said. I'm so happy.
You thought the best thing would be just farting joining GODSENT because you've been on the train, or the GODSENT farting train. But no.
What? You wasn't on the smooya the GODSENT train? I saw some people comment about that.
Well,
that was a train. That was a train.
There was a train? I didn't notice that, actually.
Fucking choo-choo, dude. You wasn't on that train, Chad?
I guess I missed that train.
I wasn't on that train. It's because I saw Farley, like, absolutely destroy online.
Did you not see what I did? You didn't see what I did to Farley on LAN?
Was that at Flashpoint?
Yeah, when I dropped 40 on his head.
I couldn't watch Flashpoint while I was working every single day for 20 days straight, unfortunately.
I did see it.
But
Farley did shit the bed in Flashpoint, just in general. Yeah. I think like after that lane game, his confidence destroyed. He was like, I can't take it here. Smooya wrecked me, and then he needed like a month to recover, literally a month. And then he came back to Europe and he was like, okay, I can do this.
Okay, so let's get people up to date. So Farley joined GODSENT recently, and that meant Maikelele got the boot. Now, for those who didn't watch last show, Prof was talking about Maikelele and saying it's a relatively hard time from the community. Prof, do you want to readdress that statement?
But I also don't know what happened, so I need someone to fill me in also.
Don't worry, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
The thing is, like, I kind of wanted to get on his side because, like, from the personal side, he was getting too much shit. But then he goes and like proves everything I said wrong. And everyone that was hating him, not literally, but he proved a lot of people right with what he did after being benched on GODSENT. So that's kind of fucked. It's like one time I do this, it's like it just hits me back in the face 2 days later.
The thing is, every time you hear these stories, right? Like, there's always like one side to the story, and it's obvious that they're gonna try to paint themselves in the good picture, right, and stuff like that. You look at Maikelele's statement, and it does nothing good for him at all. Like, it's so bad.
Okay, so just to quickly get this involved, so Zen did a podcast in Finnish where he made some comments about the team and Maikelele and stuff. I believe I don't have the particulars on that, but that's where this started. There was obviously
it was just like a short comment, something along the lines of like.
No, it was like a full interview. Actually, there was like more things.
But about the whole Maikelele situation, wasn't something like very
much.
bad for Maikelele. It was just something that he was very upset, which I think is understandable. Like, he was building the team. And then he got benched. Okay, you get upset, and that he said something that it won't end here, but that's it. Like, if Maikelele doesn't do anything after that, then like no one cares because it did end there. But he just went on and proved Zen right because he just made a tweetlonger the next day based on that. So it was
So his tweetlonger, the Maikelele one, I didn't actually read that one, but this is the Zen one. What did Maikelele say in his one in response to Zen? Do we know? Was that where this kind of all kicked off?
He did like launch a couple of projectiles, I would say, saying something like Zen was the troublemaker in the team, that they wanted to kick him.
But you're gonna love this, mate. You're gonna love this.
But Stickle said they can't kick him because of the points, blah blah. Which then obviously, when stuff like that goes out from one direction, then the other side feels the need to kind of defend themselves, which maybe isn't the case, but I'm kind of glad it was the case because it's fun.
It's pretty funny, right? The thing is, I know, like, we have a little chat in Discord, and I was just pasting like from Zen's. Look, let me read this one to everybody at home, right?
Is this Zen or Maikelele?
This is Zen. So Zen's written up this thing.
Was this after Maikelele said some shit first? Like, who made the first tweet longer?
Zen first went on a podcast, right, where he said a few things about Maikelele, including this thing. Then Maikelele came in to say
so this
to talk
is the response
shit,
to Maikelele. Okay,
yes, exactly.
I'm trying to keep it long because I really have no idea what happened. I saw them all, but I didn't read it. But yeah, okay, let's go. So Zen.
So you've missed a lot. So basically, Zen's tweetlonger talks about like the kicking from the team and the issues within the team, and even the process of how it came to him that they were going to get rid of Maikelele. He joined a TeamSpeak. He thought he was the one getting kicked, right? Like that's how the whole conversation with his org
that's
started.
Already a bad start.
No, because he joined like with the management, I believe, and they had a conversation about Farley, and he was like, yeah, well, who's he replacing? And he assumed himself, and they said Maikelele, right? Then that's where the conversation kind of kicked on off. But here's one part of this, right? Where are we here? It's like kicking cables off computers on boot camp while practicing, being super nervous and losing focus, losing focus / balls. I don't.
But
as in he didn't have balls like in official games compared to practice, right? He didn't take the same peaks and stuff like that. I assume is what he
Maikelele?
meant.
Oh,
yeah.
This is what Zen's saying about Maikelele. Okay, and last was for me when I had an in-game situation that I did wrongly on Inferno rotating. I left him to die and didn't call it. I got told about it and I apologized, and that was my bad. 2 days later, during the boot camp, same thing happened, that Michael didn't call something for me and let me die. Then I said, you didn't call this, Michael. And he said, yep, like you didn't call in Inferno 2 days ago, smiley face. I stood up. I said, I don't want to play. What the fuck is this shit? Then he started to call me a fucking crybaby. Why are you such a crybaby? Laughing and shit when he clearly see on my face I'm upset about this behavior. I left the room to chill out in the kitchen and asked if our coach can play some rounds. This happened just before Ice Challenge land, which made me really humiliated in front of our whole crew and GODSENT boot camp. And I had this shit feeling and disrespect inside of me towards him after that for a long time. That was just one of the many here, which I read and I thoroughly enjoyed. So if you guys want to go and read this, I'll put the tweetlonger in Twitch chat.
It's funny that they deleted the tweets, but they didn't delete the tweetlonger. I assume you can. I actually haven't really used tweetlonger much. So
you must be able.
I think you must be able to delete stuff. So,
but
that's very common in teams, though, man. That sort of thing.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think people
but
realize that,
especially
because tensions are at a high, right? It's 6 dudes, maybe sometimes more, trapped together, usually fucking on top of each other all the time, doing something highly competitive.
But it's also weird for Maikelele. He's like 45, man, and he's been in 20 pro teams. He's being kicked from 5 teams, and he still acts like that. That's crazy to me. When I got kicked from my first team, I stopped using smiley faces completely in practice because that was a big thing that I used to do a lot in practice. If someone
That's like the passive aggressive type thing,
it's
you know.
It's how to tilt, especially a German person, really fast. I found that out. Let's put it like that. Like Tapson would say something, I'm like, yeah, okay, lol, smiley face, yeah. It did not end well. Let's put it like that. But I'm 20 and I've learned my lesson. But Maikelele is like however old and he still does that. Like,
He's almost, is he 29, 30 now? Almost?
That's pretty stupid from him to act like that, man. I don't know. But yeah, more. Give me one more.
I'll give you one more.
Yeah,
I'll give you one more. Here we go. You ready for this one? You might appreciate this one.
Oh,
also, lately we talked together as a team and we learned after a year that Michael has this Lele call, he named it, that he can say totally wrong information, what's happening in the round or where he is killing an opponent. I knew people sometimes called stuff wrong or didn't remember call outs. It happens. But it went to the point that Martin also had during official say, Michael, that we are just stuttering on information. We need it the most to win rounds when information was just mumbling or this wrong call. So, yeah. So that's legit, that's where we're at. And basically it all de-escalated because everyone deleted their tweets and they put down their guns and shit. And I was a little bit disappointed because I love some Twitter drama. But that was a whole day. So now we're all caught up with that.
I just want to say, like, when you look at this, obviously, like, I don't know what Maikelele was thinking. Obviously wasn't thinking everything through when he started, like, I'm gonna say the whole truth and stuff like that, because when all of this shit came out, like, he's the guy with most to lose. Yeah, GODSENT didn't really look professional and all of that shit, but like Maikelele's career is literally in jeopardy. Like, I don't know who's gonna take him in a team after all of this shit that came out. So
he would have
had a hard time getting a team anyway. Like,
yeah, but maybe he could do it based on like his seniority, brand, blah blah. Like, from the outside, when he was benched, we all thought he was benched. I mean, he was primarily benched. It was primarily because of this. Like, his stats weren't that great, but maybe I was thinking, yeah, maybe he adds other things to the team. But after this, it seems like there are a lot more issues than positives, like across the board, not just fragging in the game. So I think you have to be smart when you get kicked. It's just like a lesson for other players as well.
Have to learn. That's all it is. If you get kicked for being a mongy little bastard, try and be 10% less mongy, and you'll probably have less issues in the next team. Not get more each team you get kicked from. That's pretty crazy.
The thing is, with a lot of these team dynamics that people maybe don't realize is, like, video games, for a lot of people, especially of my generation, was something that people did because we weren't social, right? Like, mine was a very social thing because I didn't get a computer. I had to go to LAN. But for a lot of people back who I played against, they all got to play from home, right? They didn't have to worry about the social dynamics and all that kind of stuff. But these teams, when you come together and you're throwing different nationalities together, and all, this is why I don't think an international team will ever get across the line. Too many clashes. But yeah, I think that this is like a great opportunity for people to grow and learn, especially youngsters, right? You learn so much from people around you. We can keep this one going before I get too preachy and telling people how to live their lives. Lucas, are you with us? Do we still have you here? Oh, you're here. Perfect. All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Lucas, we're going to roll on into the Copenhagen Flames situation. Now, HECTOz has joined the team for Farley, because Farley just went to GODSENT. Now, Lucas, can you bring this tweet up? I don't know if you can. Can you play the video? This is the video. Okay. So this right here, I can link the tweet in Twitch chat as well. But I thought this was quite funny. It's documenting all the players for Copenhagen Flames over recent times that have been taken off of their roster and they've still been able to bounce back, right? I think that was like Roche there, Roy at the start there.
Roche was the first one, I think.
And then Asilian's gone, and then they're doing this with all the new players that they're adding and shit. So Tessa's went obviously to Heroic at some point. Now Farley's gone as well. So Copenhagen Games is the new poaching point right there over. I thought it was funny as fuck, right? Like, I thought they'd done really well with this.
Wait, is Refresh still there? Sorry,
he's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just arrived like a month and a half.
Well, he's
ago,
like 2 months. Yeah, exactly. He's like 2 months old there.
He's next to go though, right? He's gonna be the
but
next.
There was a report like linking him to Heroic, right? When before they got Tessus, I think it was something like that, or someone else. Who other the fifth player roles. So there is already rumors about him leaving. So
that's a good video, man. Holy shit.
So I thought that was pretty funny that they released today. But in terms of talking about this Copenhagen Flames roster striker, Are they now just the new talent farm for Denmark?
Well, it definitely looks like it, considering they lost 3 players to the higher up teams in Denmark in the last 3 months. Like, they literally lost a player every month in the last 3 months. So it's like, yeah, it seems like it. But I think it's going to stop there, because I don't think, first of all, none of the upper teams are searching any longer. So unless it's going to be somebody like GODSENT, like a European team who comes looking, I don't think there's ever going to be danger like anytime soon. And at the same time, I don't feel like they have like the talent anymore, like that the upper teams are going to be that interested in.
Okay, so
it's probably going to take like 6 months or something for someone either to develop or for a new player to come in and to kind of explode. Get sold.
So I'd be curious about HECTOz, because he, like, from what I looked through his history, he has a weird, like, he almost has like a history of like a really toxic player, but I was assured that that's not the case. He's just like very like individualistic with the op, and that's kind of why he didn't really stick with teams for a long time, and that's why he also left AGF, or was benched in AGF before he went to Tigers. So it's just like curious about this guy.
I've known of him for a long time.
Yeah,
he used to play in
he's
the
been
UK
around for a
scene when I was there like 4 or 5 years ago. He was meant to join Epsilon. My first time on Epsilon with Cosmine, like Barbar. He was meant to replace me on that team. Because
he actually was with Barbar and Weigers now.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Because Maeve was on the team as well, the Danish guy, and he wanted to kick me for him. But then the owner just said, like, you're absolutely crazy. There's no way we can kick Smooya. Then we all got benched anyway, like 2 weeks later, so it's okay. But yeah, it's not toxic at all, I don't think. I played some faces with him quite recently.
No. I said, like, people have assured me that that's not the case at all. It's just like he plays like really solo and stuff, that's why he's kind of not been able to.
I think he's a bit like me. Like, if you don't know him, he can come across as like an absolute fucking piece of shit. But like, if you actually know him, he's still a piece of shit, but he's not that bad. You know, he doesn't mean to be like mean to you, and that's
let me tell everybody this much: we're all a piece of shit. So some of us show it, some of us don't. I do very good at hiding my piece of shitness the best I can.
You're a nice guy.
Do we have anything about Copenhagen Flames that we want to dive into, Prof, Striker?
No, I think this is it.
Okay, so we touched on it. We showed the funny video.
I can say one thing actually.
Yeah,
that I can confirm live on stream that me and Refresh no longer have any beef. At Flashpoint, we saw each other and we spoke. Yeah, long time ago happened in FPL. Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, there was some. Oh my god, there was some serious beef. But anyhow, just to say live on air that me and Refresh, we're good. But yeah,
okay,
all mates.
Sweet. Well, okay, we'll keep it moving. We're going to move forward into something that it has a lot of controversy around it, something which I really am having a tough time getting the message across. So I'm going to try right now to do it in a nice way without swearing, but I'm probably going to swear. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are in a global pandemic right now. Something that has never happened in the lifetime of Counter-Strike is happening right now. It's a global pandemic. Now, Counter-Strike has been played on a competitive level for a very long time, right? There has been multiple iterations over the history of Counter-Strike, as my fucking webcam dies, that have not been MR15, right? There has been the CGS, we did MR9. There's been previous iterations of Counter-Strike in the early days where we had MR12. We've had charges only. We've had all these other bits and pieces over the years of Counter-Strike where different formats have been played. Back in other versions, guys, if you're only a CSGO player, guess what? You didn't get $600 for an SMG kill, right? That didn't exist. It was 300 across the board. All these things have changed. And all of you motherfuckers out there get mad at me when something changes in the game and I'm a little bit critical of it, like the economy or like the Krieg or the org or those things, because I can see the destruction that will have on the game, because this is all I have to do with my time is think about this shit. So to do with formats, MR12 was a suggestion based off the fact that it should not take 4 hours for a best of 3 to finish, okay? Now, that suggestion was picked up by the Gamers Without Borders thing to do as a fun charity stream. It was fun. It was meant to be a fun thing where, you know, you could take a look and you could see what the new format was. We didn't need people commenting, especially players, after they had played it, who weren't trying, mind you, to come out and say MR12 is shit.
Any names?
Just the teams who are playing. The teams who are playing who lost on day one, who came out after and said that MR12 was shit because they lost. What are you fucking doing, right? Why condemn something? Let's just be open-minded. We don't have to say MR12 was great because it wasn't. We don't have to lie. We just have to sit here and go, wow, do we think that as an entertainment product, we're expecting to do 3 best of 3s a day, with each best of 3 taking between 3.5 to 4.5 hours as an acceptable amount of time for people to be doing? And if that is yes, if the general consensus of all people in Counter-Strike who want to watch it are like, yeah, that's fucking fine, then cool, we'll just get on with it. But there's no reason that right now we can't try different things and have a look at different things. And guess what? Discuss different things, because that's the most important part. So anyway, I've got my little fucking rant out the way. Let's discuss this. Now, how much of this did you watch, Striker? Did you see any of it?
Oh, yeah. But quite
Okay.
like at least several maps that I saw. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw like enough maps to make like a semi-informed decision.
What was your initial feeling when you saw it?
By the way, I saw who was that? Somebody said initial verdict, and I feel like that's kind of an oxymoron. But
that's the best kind of verdicts.
Yeah, that's exactly it, because it's so hard to make. That's why I said semi-informed. It's so hard to make an informed decision on this when you've seen teams who, like you say, didn't really try their hardest at playing it and like made the best economic decisions. Maybe they didn't make the best economic decisions because they didn't realize what was going on, right? Because they didn't have as much time as they would have normally for economy to rack up and stuff like that.
One situation
Flamey
saved the last round of the game.
But that's not just what I'm talking about. It's just like weird eco decisions at times where they probably would have bought twice in a row instead of like ecoing once and bought again because like time was running out in the half. So things like that where people were clearly not used to the format and making just not suboptimal decisions. So from that point of view, it's just hard to make like a good opinion on if it's viable or not. But as an initial feeling, I felt like the pacing wasn't bad. Like it didn't feel like the half was very short. Obviously, like some of these matches were really quick, at least especially the first few. So that definitely contributed to the argument that it was like way too short and way too high pace, stuff like that. But that wasn't the case towards the end, where we saw overtimes and stuff like that. So from that perspective, I didn't feel like it was too short, like that it was like cut short, like the halves or anything like that. I didn't feel like the economy part was too bad either. It's just that, yes, pistol rounds are going to have a slightly bigger impact than they were before, just by the virtue of, we have less rounds. So that's obviously going to be the case. It's just, is it actually too impactful or not? I didn't feel like that was too much of the case, because we even saw teams who lost both pistol rounds win maps, and like not even by, I think it was like 13-10 or something, not even like by the smallest of margins. So it's like, it's obviously not obviously, again, small sample size and all that. It's not that bad. That's my point, basically.
Yeah,
I don't think pistols are that important. Just not even if you play 10 rounds. Of course, they probably help a little bit, but the way CS is right now is the economy is so like favors the guys who are good with guns. If that makes sense, like.
Yeah.
If you're good with
if you want to play with knives, it's not like good.
No, but I mean like I
know
mean
what you
like
mean.
rifle round buy rounds, like guys call them buy and eco rounds, right? Like before it was if you won, you get ecoed. If you lose pistol, win first gun round, get ecoed, good night. It's pointless playing the game. You're down 7-1, absolute good luck. But now it's like it's almost better to lose the pistol round, win the second round, because that fucks with their money bonus. And then then you have gun control the entire game, because if you lose, you still get a lot of money, if that makes sense. Like that's why I don't think the pistols are that important, regardless of.
Funnily enough,
50 rounds.
The 2-0 conversion has actually kind of stabilized at the same point where it was before the economy changes.
Yeah, because less people buy.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the 2-0 has not really changed. It's the 3-0 where that doesn't happen as often, because the third round is where teams normally buy these days. Obviously, we still see second round buys, but it's about as often as it used to be before, like pistol changes, the post pistol economy changes rather. So it's like the first 2 rounds are still pretty much like, I think it's something like 75%, where the team who wins the pistol round actually wins the second round.
Has that gone down a lot? Sorry, since the Krieg has been nerfed, has it gone up, like the second round win?
I was looking through that. Even the Krieg buys weren't all that impactful. Dude, I think it was like 40%. The thing is, I went through the numbers when teams actually bought second round after bomb plants. Yeah, and it was only like a 40% win rate. It wasn't that awful. Like it was barely. It wasn't even half.
I feel like that's dependent on the team though, right? Because that's every team combined it. But I feel like there were some teams that if they got the bomb plant, dude, it's better to save as a CT man, because it was 2 Kriegs and an AK. and you have fucking MP9 FAMAS.
Well, I mean, Navi were one of those teams who kept doing it all the time, but they weren't particularly successful at it. I think they were one of the more successful at it. Like from when I was looking through the data, it definitely looked like they were the more successful, but at the same time, they were the ones who did it the most out of everybody. So it could have just been like...
I just wondered because that felt so strong. Even when I played like FPL and stuff, it felt like if you won the pistol round and they got a bomb plant, it's pointless buying. Like, but if it's not that much, then maybe that's true. I mean, you have the numbers, so a
lot of the things, right? Like Striker and I were having a conversation yesterday. A lot of the things like that you probably feel, and like when I watch and I cast the games or I analyze the games, I will probably feel it in a similar way to what you're saying. But then when we look at the numbers, it turns out
it's not that much.
I'm just an idiot, right? Like it's like, well, if the numbers aren't backing up what I'm thinking here, like, but that's where I'm not like. I
mean that's just like a brain thing. Like it's confirmation bias. Like you will see more people winning second rounds than people going full eco or losing when they buy a Krieg in second round.
Maybe it's just because I take notice. I died. I lost every second round for 2 months nearly when the Krieg was fucking bullshit.
But this is probably a thing, right? So this is where I try and rationalize it in my head. Is that round becomes more restrictive in your approach on the CT side because of how scared you are of having your head lopped off by a Krieg, right? Yeah. So you will play differently, which will probably make the way that round feels more scary than versus a Tech 9 buy.
It's like the gun round. That's how it feels.
And you have fuck all. Like, what could you have at best? You could have like a scout, and if you miss, you're dead. It's like...
Maybe
I'm with you there. I'm with you in like how threatening all that felt, and in terms of like the way that watching that as well, it made CT sides feel really like bitchy, like they were so scared to do anything. And I still feel a lot of that now, even when we've reverted those changes or we've nerfed those guns, is that a lot of maps, because we're playing percentage Counter-Strike, we're having a lot more saves, which means a lot more teams are, well, it feels that way. I don't know the numbers, but it feels like we have a lot more save rounds, especially on the CT side once you lose bomb sites.
Yeah.
And if you're at max loss bonus and you save 2 guns, well, exactly. Yeah. So the people at home who sit there and they go, I didn't like MR12, it went too quickly. We're just taking away more of the rounds that go
saves
for
and shit. Yeah,
exactly. We're just scrubbing all. As soon as the bomb gets planted and I see the 3 guys still on the fucking A bomb site on Inferno, I'm like, I have to sit here for 40 seconds now.
Yeah, you switch tabs.
Both teams save. Like they're gonna wait for the bomb and they're gonna. That's boring to me. I don't know if people find that interesting.
I'll also add about this MR12 thing. Like teams didn't, as you said, it's not like teams were even throwing games or shit like that, but they weren't playing full try-hard mode, which means when you lose that one guy on the B bomb site, instantly on train, instantly save with 4 guys. Like that didn't happen. And in the stats, you could see like the duration of a round was on par with somewhere in between, like before we changed the round timer and after we changed the round timer. It was like literally super short. That rounds were super short. It made no fucking sense.
That's crazy.
And it made sense because they did not take tactical timeouts. And of course, they didn't do tactical timeouts where they waited 15 seconds, then did the timeout, then had like 20 more seconds of the free time.
That's a bitch, that, man. When you get ready to go to the game, 1 second, tack, fuck. Like 1 more minute, just sat there like, when you're playing, it feels so long, man.
So that also adds on like to the shortness feel of MR12. It's just because people didn't really try. And then instead of average round lasting like 2 minutes, 10 seconds, it was 1 minute and like, I don't know, 50 seconds. So literally like 20 seconds of the round were lost because people weren't trying.
That doesn't feel like that long, but over 24 rounds, it's a lot of time.
It adds up, So that's the biggest reason why it was, and of course you play less rounds, so that's why it's shorter. And that's a pretty easy one.
That helps. Yeah.
So with all this conversation here about match length and stuff, Smooya, we spoke a lot about this last time with Regin, I believe, or it could have been the time before. I'm really confused on what day it is half the time. But we spoke about it, and from just our perspective, from the viewers, games had gone up by a reasonable amount of time, right, Prof? Overall for a series, I think it was that we were looking at.
Is this live or online, by the way?
What?
We were looking at majors and like all of the majors, and it extended from like 45 minutes for the 43 minutes for the first majors, and then of course the round timer changed, but like the last 2 majors was nearly an hour per map.
Yeah,
and that's just like one map.
Does that include technical issues? Because there was
all
a
of
fuck
that.
ton of those majors, man. The group stage is always like riddled with technical pauses.
Yeah, but even we had some stats from like Pro League, the LAN Pro League. It was like 55 minutes and stuff like that. So it's not
still
just
quite
a
long,
major.
man.
So that's 55 minutes per map. Then between maps,
Overtime
additional
and
breaks
whatever.
and all that stuff.
Okay.
So basically, what I want to get to here is, smooya, from a player's perspective, you probably don't feel it, but maybe you do. Do series, best of 3 series, in your opinion, feel like they're too long? Do you feel completely drained and spent afterwards?
I personally no, because I've done a lot of practice in teams where we play. What the fuck is that, man? So there's a big ass fly on my screen. Sorry, holy shit, that scared the fuck out of me. Yeah, so we would practice and we would have like 5 best of 1s in a row in a prac day to get used to the feeling of playing tired. Because if you don't do that and you go to a LAN and you have a DreamHack example, you play 1 best of 3, then you have a break, then you play again, you're fucked in the second best of 3. Your brain's completely fried because you're not used to playing while tired. So personally, no, because I think a lot of teams do that too. Like they have 6 pracs in one day, 7 pracs, whatever. But I can imagine as a viewer, half the time I watch a CS game till 6-0 and I think, fuck, man, I just turn it off and go play WoW. I'm like, I'd rather do something else, you know? But while playing, it feels fine. Best of 5s is a fucking problem. I'll tell you that. I've only played 1 in my life. I only went to the 4th map and I was like falling asleep. Yeah, I think MR12 could be good, but as you guys all made good points, like I watched Stewie's stream. I watched him lose the last round and he said like, as if these guys were actually trying. And I'm sat there like, I mean, you don't know if something's good if you don't fucking try.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is the thing, and this is a conversation which it's very difficult for me to be able to say this stuff, because I think that I put a lot of people's noses out of joint when I make comments like this. But the players who are grinding tournaments and grinding Counter-Strike to be the best teams in the world or be the best they can be are not focusing on what makes Counter-Strike the most enjoyable to watch or play. They're just going, this is the confines of what I have to work in, and I have to work
rounds,
to this. Exactly.
So on. Yeah.
And then like people get up in arms when analysts or people on the microphone come out against something as change, right? Oh, you know, the Krieg matter, I'm not a massive fan, or this or that. And people like, oh, you fucking hate change. Wait and see what happens. When this new economy thing came out, right? I'm fucking shouting from the rooftops how dog shit I thought it was going to be. I'm at breakfast with players at the Blast event, talking to them, being like, guys, do you understand that this is going to take away the narrative of the game? And the response I get is, yeah, but it sounds like we're going to have more gun rounds. That to me right there, right? Like I think about formats and tournament structures and little bits and pieces in the game. Like you guys have to deal with the fucking bomb dropping situation, right? Why the fuck does the bomb fling in that direction? Why doesn't it just drop at your feet where you died, right?
That would be a good change to make.
Why don't we change that? Why don't we suggest changing that, right? Like that. Those are things that I look at in the game. And
I literally tweeted that like 10 times, and every time there was like a decent amount of people like, no, that makes
so
sense.
Stupid.
It's perfect. It's perfectly fine. Like, why wouldn't it fly forward and drop down to CT spawn on Dust 2? Why don't you just move differently? It's like it just doesn't make sense.
It's just all those. It's all the random purists, right? That like hate change. Like the same people in UFC. If you say, hey, we should make the octagon this much bigger, they're like, no, you're changing the spawn. What are you doing? But it's probably could be better for better gameplay. And take Valorant as a good example, man. Their game, I played their game a lot, and that's MI12, I believe. I don't want to be out of thing there. And it feels a good amount, and it feels nice to play, man. And the reason I like that is because each round means so much more, which means you should be trying harder. So it was funny to see all these people play MR12, just fucking. Oh, it's over. Okay, we can turn off the stream now.
I mean, I understand
you should
because
be trying a lot harder.
Probably just sick of playing CS all the time. Then now they have to play this charity match, which is for nothing essentially, and really, it didn't really make a difference how much they tried, if they won or lost. Like it's the same amount of money. Like no, at the same time, like if they did something like you have to win more rounds to donate more money, that'll probably lead to like bad stuff and people getting outraged if someone like failed a round or something. True.
But for me, it's
I don't have an idea how to fix it, but I'm just saying, like, I understand why they didn't try hard, but at the same time, their passing comments on how, like, if MR12 is shit or not, influence
they're not valid.
But they also influence the community a lot, and now it's harder for anyone to to reintroduce this idea ever again, because 90% of the people think MR12 is shit.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I just think if you don't give something 100%, you can't say it's shit or bad, right? I used to be a big person for that. I'd be like, I don't like that food. I never tried it. But I say I don't like it. Why? Because it's not a pepperoni pizza. I don't eat, you know, it's something like
Sure.
this.
Yeah.
It's like, I really hate people like that, but a lot of people are like that. I also used to be like that, so I can't.
Well, all in all, I'm glad that somebody tried it, and I'm glad that we got to take a little bit of a look at it. In terms of moving forward, I guess just greater discussions have to happen. And if there really is a problem with match length, I think the first person who, well, maybe not the first people, but the people who will eventually get around to doing something with it will be Valve. I know they've probably got a lot on their plate right now, hopefully preparing all this stuff to go to war with Valorant. Let's see what happens.
Those too.
Yeah, well, we hope. So we're going to put a pin in this one, and maybe we get more opportunities in the future to talk about MR12 or different formats or different money systems. Now, I fucked up. I didn't realize we had a whole player burnout section, and we kind of did talk about the player burnout.
Yeah,
we
we
were
could just
doing.
skip that, I guess.
So we'll go to DreamHack and Blast, where lots of shit's been going on over there. Now, look, guys, just before people at home or here think we know if Source 2 is a legitimate thing, we don't. We're just as hyped as you guys. Like,
It's
you guys are
happening.
super hyped. We're super hyped. We're all excited. Okay, we don't know what's going on.
That's one of the things that people, because I work for HLTV and they're like casual CS players or follow like CS in general, it's like, so is Source 2 coming out? You must know. And I have no.
You just say yes every time.
I know the same as you know. It's the same. I'm literally no one knows.
Dude, I tell everyone, yeah. I'm like, yeah, Gabe just emailed me the other day. It's actually coming out. Let me check the date. 2 weeks from now. Everyone be ready.
Perfect.
16, be ready.
No, I just had somebody on Instagram ask me also like exactly the same thing. Like, I heard the thing is, like, he even said that he heard from somebody, maybe like Richard Lewis or something like that they said that Valve were thinking about changing the aim to March 12. I'm like, first of all, there's no way Richard Lewis said that. Like, first of all,
Yeah,
and second of all, how the fuck would I know? Valve have not been known to talk to people like about their plans for the future.
Valve don't even know what they're doing, man. There's like 4 people working on this game, and they only work weekends. They don't work weekdays, man. There's like that's why there's no changes for 6 years. It's so crazy.
Oh, they're definitely making some moves right now, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to make a move of our own with a really good segue that I just pulled. Now, Lucas, I just sent you a link. I want you to whack this bad boy up for everybody at home. We're going to take a look right now at what's been going. Just scroll down a little bit, Lucas, just so we can see the playoff bracket. This is the playoff bracket, which will be going down for DreamHack next week, I believe, for the North American side of things. So you can see here, FURIA and 100 Thieves, they're straight through into the upper bracket. And in the lower bracket, we got Liquid Genji, which should be a good game, and MIBR Cloud9. And then if you just scroll down, Lucas, we can show everybody the groups. In the group stage, the biggest omission here is EG not making it. Are we just going to wait and see with EG, guys?
Wait, what the fuck? They didn't?
Yeah.
Who did they lose to?
Well,
Cloud9.
I think
the
only team they beat was 100 Thieves. So
yeah, that was a game that didn't matter.
And the game that didn't matter at all.
Wait, that's crazy, man.
So, Prof, your view on EG right now, you think they're just going to keep going as is, and see if the results get better because just of how many tournaments are coming up? There's no rush, or what do you think?
I guess, yeah, rush is in complexity. Okay.
That's unbelievable.
Evil geniuses. They did change the coach. They did pick up a couple of wins now. They beat 100 Thieves twice, right? They beat them in this best of 3, which was kind of meaningless, but it's not meaningless because obviously their coach went over there, so there's a bit of banter and everything.
Yeah.
And then they beat them in Blast as well, I think.
Yep.
In a best of 1.
Is this the same? Sorry, is this the same event where Chaos beat Liquid in the best of 1, right? I remember reading about that.
And
that
they
was before,
still didn't qualify, right?
I mean, they're 2 hard teams to beat, man. FURIA and MIBR. That's a stacked thing.
Yeah, that kind of also shows how dumb the round robin thing is. It's like 100 Thieves are now in the semi-final upper bracket, and they have the same, like they have 2 wins, and Cloud9 has 2 wins, and they're like 3 games away in the lower bracket, and that's kind of fucked.
Yeah, especially in the system where you go so far ahead. It's pretty OP.
Who do we think is going to take this one all together, Striker?
You're talking about
the North American side of things. Which team do you think is going to win the whole thing?
You're talking about Masters, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to Blast in a second.
I mean, FURIA have been looking pretty good, right?
No way, man. The whole thing? No way.
The thing is, like, they only have to win 2 series right now, right? While no way. That might be our
Maybe
have to do the
trolling
whole
everybody.
fucking
No way,
gauntlet, right?
man. KNG online is a beast, man. Just
Dude, they have to win 1, 2, 3, 4 series in a row to win. Like, then they can't lose a single one. So it's like
you're just a
they're
hater, man.
really far.
You're a hater.
You gonna go with FURIA
I guess
striker?
I kind of like that FURIA have almost looked like they were beating the system where like online CS is mega random, but they're actually looking pretty good overall. Like they've been looking all good from the start. So I feel like they have a pretty good shot.
All right,
I
Prof.
think FURIA is probably the best bet actually.
I back
FURIA?
that as well.
Everyone FURIA?
Especially
because they're the
because
only
of
team that
look-
beats Liquid, right? That I've seen. They shit on Liquid every time they play them.
The
last time
they beat EG as well. They beat everyone, and then they lost to like Gen G in the final of the.
That's
yeah,
okay. Gen G are pretty
True.
good.
True.
What was it? It was 2-1 last time they played.
I would say-
16-9, 16-14.
I would say Liquid or FURIA. Those two, probably.
I'm gonna go with 100 Thieves for obvious
Of
reasons.
course you are.
Nice easy one there. Where is it? Lucas, did I send you the European group? No, I didn't. Fuck. Hold up, guys. Slight technical issue here is I'm not sending the correct links to the producer to bring up the correct things.
The EU's way harder, man.
The EU one is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah.
All right, it's
I
in
mean,
the chat now,
big is
Lucas.
in the upper semis.
I think
so-
it's crazy right now to see like everyone always says, oh, maybe not recently, but they would say like NA and EU's getting kind of closer, and then you see like the brackets now, and it's insane the team difference, man. Like how good! Holy shit! Look at these teams.
Yeah, so at the upper
Wait,
bracket
Spirit?
for the audio listeners, we got G2 versus Na'Vi and Big versus FaZe in the upper bracket already. And then in the lower bracket side of things, the first games are Complexity versus Fnatic. We've got Mad Lions versus Spirit, who have been looking better and better. Heroic Vitality and Astralis NIP. So some pretty good matches right there. Smooya, you mentioned Spirit. Why are you surprised to see Spirit up
I
that high?
didn't realize they made it, but
Dude, Mia has
some
been amazing.
Beast. What? Is he AWPing now?
No. He is just fucking shredding everybody. I think he's the highest rated player in DreamHack Masters right now over Zyro and Simple.
I saw that on HLTV,
Yes.
but that guy has an insane skill ceiling when he actually plays the game. Like if he doesn't play the game, he's one of those players that's like you think, holy shit, how is this guy a pro? But then when he puts the hours in, he's so sick. It makes no sense.
They're saying that was the thing. Like he in Vegas Squadron, that was like 2017.
Towards the end, he got pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but like when they were breaking out, he was the player. Is like, okay, this guy is
him
gonna
and
be
Chopper.
sick.
Yeah.
And
Because
then
he had 140 hours every 2 weeks, I think.
oh,
And right now he has. I can actually check for you, but I remember I saw it recently and I started cracking up because it made me feel like a waste of space. It's
That's
like
a good source of motivation. I like that.
he has a random name, but it's above 125 in the past 2 weeks, which is like a lot of just CS. Like
I mean, they've also been playing a lot of officials, so that has to.
they won like the CS Rotary event without losing
Trying
a
to go
single
through
best of 3. They lost maybe 2 maps or some shit.
That's so sick, man. I'm happy for some
And
guy. That guy's
literally,
really nice.
they could have topped this group as well had Mir not disconnected in a 2v1.
Yeah,
at,
yeah,
like 14-14.
FaZe.
But he
against
still lags
FaZe.
out. Dude, he's been lagging out for years, man. It's been happening in FPL for the longest time.
He needs to. His power went out. He didn't play like the last 2 maps. Like the end of one map that went into overtime, and the last one that also went into overtime.
Who
where
did
played
they
with
get to
Dima.
stand in? Oh,
They got
Dima.
Dima.
Well,
He's
for
pretty
the
good,
end of that map that was Certus, that was the coach event, so that was like
Yeah.
absolutely
my
awful.
That's
And
such
then
a rip,
then
man.
they got Dima for the last map and lost that too.
But they're really sick, man. The
So-
Spirit goes.
Looking at this bracket right here, Smooya, who do you have as the favorite to take it? So in the upper we had G2.
You can't
we
say
had
to take it. Let's
Na'Vi.
just pick 2 teams to make the final. Because
All right, do that.
one
I just-
person to win is impossible. There's no way.
Give me the 2 finalists then. It has to be one of the teams from the upper bracket. So scroll up for us, Lucas. You scroll up.
Can you
just
zoom out
towards-
again? Like he had the whole thing again, so I can see every team.
So we got G2, Na'Vi, Big FaZe as the upper bracket.
Can I pick 3 teams?
I think
I
out
don't
of
think
all of
that
those,
works,
FaZe look the best out of all of the. Actually, FaZe look the best out of everybody.
I think I agree.
I would
but that's the thing.
say-
They also kind of shit the bed every time when they got to these like playoff games, big games for some reason.
I would
But-
say Na'Vi, like
Really?
the final. Well, they have not an easy route, but I feel like the way Na'Vi plays, like Simple can have a field day against G2, but they need Simple to show up. If not, they'll probably lose. So I'm praying for my boy Simple over here.
I mean, he does show up quite often. Like he's kind of an okay player, right?
Yeah, and then
Sometimes.
the other team
Yeah.
I would say 100% is Big. You know, being biased and all that.
I like that. All right, Prof. Who have you got and why?
I mean, I'd still probably back FaZe. Just like my logic brain picks them because of all of these other teams. Like I can't really pick them. It's just like it's too random with G2 and FaZe, G2 and Navi, and then Big. It's like Big is okay, but
Hey, whoa.
like yeah.
But
But
Fnatic
like
are in the lower bracket.
the lower
What
bracket
the
is
fuck?
pretty crazy. Astralis is definitely not making the grand final. I don't know what's going on with NIP. Like they're kind of shaken, but someone is gonna beat Astralis before they reach the grand final.
What
And,
about
like-
Vitality, actually, man? Is that who could pop off?
I legit
Vitality have been
see
so like.
Spirit running Riot in the lower bracket.
I was gonna say Mad Lions just because they are playing Spirit, and that's like I guess the potentially the easiest game they could go through. But then again, it's like one of those.
I see one of those two teams are gonna make the grand final. That's me.
Mad
Fnatic
Lions
like
and Spirit.
lost. Fnatic is lost. They're like the mouse sports 2. They're the same
Wait,
boat.
what? Really?
What?
What have I
think-
missed? I thought Fnatic
I don't
was
think
sick, man.
Fnatic. I don't think Fnatic ever stay in this position for long. Like they always come back.
I mean, they will
somehow, so.
bounce back at some point.
They
but
won today against Virtus Pro of all teams. How could you not remember that?
They did beat Yakinder, so that's like high props for me. So
Yakinder is fucking sick.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! Finally, someone else. Yakinder is going to make a lot of money from Counter-Strike. That's all I'm going to say now. He's going to make millions. He's such a nice guy as well. He's my favorite player from FPL by far.
Okay.
Striker, who you got?
Well, I was already saying that I agree with you on the
FaZe?
face part.
Yeah.
I like that for sure. The thing is, like, I really want to say G2, but I know I shouldn't. It's just like the classic. Whenever I say G2 are going to do well, they don't do well. Whenever I say they don't do well, they do well. It's just like you might as well flip a coin if they're actually going to do it or not. So I'm not going to pick them. I'm not going to pick Navi either because I just don't believe that's kind of the same thing actually. So I have to go to the lower bracket, which means like fucking hell, like they have to win like 2,
It's a
4,
gauntlet,
5.
man.
They have to win 5 series in a row to go to the final if you want to do the whole lower bracket gauntlet. But like if somebody would do it, I think it's Fnatic.
Actually,
Okay.
I'm going to change my pick. I want to take G2. They haven't played a serious game in a while. They've had a long time to prep and take a break, so they're going to be ready for this. No
All right.
joke.
G2 and
G2
Big.
and fuck man, really? Yeah, G2 and Big. But then brackets complexity because Blame F's my boy. So yeah, those 3.
Okay.
So you've covered your bases right there. Now I want to go on another one of my rants here. So this format right here, I saw a Reddit thread or some form of a thread, right?
no.
Where somebody was like, "How come these guys start in the upper bracket and these guys are in the lower bracket? That's not fair." They
Oh
played
my god.
They played a group stage, okay? And that's the whole point of the different formats, guys. Not every format has to be the same.
How do you
and-
still get triggered by
and-
these people that are clearly not?
Today I was so mad. Today, like I've been really good lately. Like lately, I have been just like keeping everything out of my periphery. I log out of Twitter all the time. Like I don't read any of the bullshit. But today I wanted to see if there were any questions for smooya. So I went on the HLTV.org thread and I'm scrolling down and I'm scrolling down. And then I'm reading, looking for smooya, looking for questions. And here's the first one. SPUNJ jerking on MR12. How good it is. Disgusting.
I saw
Then-
that and I started
then-
cracking.
Then the guy replies to that. He goes, SPUNJ was a terrible player and he's a bad analyst. Now, I know I wasn't a good player. At no point would I ever say that. And in terms of being a good or bad analyst, I can't really objectively say that. My job is to give an opinion, right? So if your opinion is I'm doing a bad job, I apologize for that. I'm trying. And there was some other guy. Here we go. This guy. Please fire SPUNJ. He's arrogant and annoying. That would make the show somewhat bearable. Come on, man.
Terrible.
Like,
Okay.
I don't know what I have to do around here, but
Look, I've seen the thing is like, sure, you're probably gonna take the most flack because you're obviously the most famous out of us all. It's like by far, you're the most in front of cameras. But I've seen similar comments about me and Prof though.
Striker got a lot of shit
Like I
after
said-
the episode with Regin because he was like going
Oh,
against the more famous guys. Like
Yeah,
this
I
guy
went
doesn't
up
know
against
anything
Mo
about
Sports, and
Counter
that's
Strike.
just like-
What is he saying?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
I
that
got
was
like a fair amount of criticism for like he's been proven wrong, but he still keeps going at his point. I'm like, I actually haven't been proven wrong, and Reggie doesn't even think I've been proven wrong. So like, what the fuck are you saying? So it's like we all get these comments every now and again.
Yeah.
but
Have
This is
you
my
read the
point.
rest of the thread, Chad? You think you got roasted?
it's
Yeah,
a pretty
okay,
good. It's a
dude.
pretty good thread, mate. You weren't around when gambling was at its most rampant, and people were finding my family members' Facebook pages and telling them that
I've
they
been there.
should poison me.
That's rough.
But we got to move on here because we got to talk about Blast, which is going on right now. Now, Lucas, he is very, very tired, our young producer. So I know he's getting excited for bed. Lucas, bring up the most recent link I gave you. Okay, I want you to scroll down, my friend, to the group stage. So right now, Blast Premier Spring is going on. They've had to split things up as well into the European side of things as well as the North American side of things. And this right here is to qualify for their finals, which will be going on the weekend after. Of DreamHack, which is next week. So right here, you can see the group stages. This is best of ones. And you want to be above that line where Sora and Virtus Pro are not. That's not where you want to be. Then from where you place within the group, you're going to populate this bracket right here that Lucas has got above, which is beautiful. So let's just go like this. Smooya, who are the two weakest teams in Group A and Group B? Who are not making it?
Group A, well, Saw. No offense to anyone on Saw.
No, that's fine.
I want to say Ends, but maybe Astralis, depending on the recent changes. Like that's like you guys would say flip a coin. Like there's no World Vitality, don't make it.
It's
No, by
only,
the way,
only
top
one
four
team.
goes through, only
Only
one
one
team
team.
goes out.
I
Yeah.
thought you said the top
So
two, sorry.
Saw, who's in Group B who wouldn't make it? VP
Oh,
or
okay,
Dignitas?
like this.
It's
Oh,
like
okay.
it's like
The
a
other
King of
guys
the
would
Hill
make it.
type
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
where
yeah,
like
you
if
know,
you place
yeah.
first, you're like 3 rounds ahead. If you place second, you're
Oh, okay,
a round
sorry.
ahead. You
I
know.
thought you said the top two teams that go not make it, but then I realized
No.
that line is stupid. Yeah. Who will not make it there? But who do you think? Dignitas, right? Probably.
Either Dig or VP. Like I think
I
the
don't think a VP will make it.
the thing is they are missing Buster, right? And they still have unfortunately Sanji because
definitely not
Sanji
gonna be
has to
Mad
drop
Ones.
guns for Jame. So it's basically like they play 4v5 every game.
I mean, it's definitely. I couldn't even say one. They're both 0-2. Have they played each other yet? Oh, of course they haven't
No.
played each other. What a
No, they
stupid
couldn't
question.
have. Right?
But we have to realize who do we think B2? Dignitas or Virtus Pro? That's who
I think
goes
Virtus
out.
Pro wins that.
Yeah,
though.
okay, then Dignitas they're going out then. Let's just put it like that.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's say Dignitas and Sora out. Who the rest of these teams, right? We were just talking about almost every single one of these names in the DreamHack Masters group, besides Noents, VP, Mouse Sports. That's
I
the
just
only
realized
differences.
there are. Oh yeah, I actually knew that.
Those three are the only differences, right? So if the
But-
teams that we make it through, that's it. So we're pretty much talking about the same shit we just
I
were.
just want to say how fucking useless this group stage is. Like,
Well-
why does it even exist? Why
Well,
do we even have this? It's just so pointless.
But it seeds
know.
that no, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second. This seeds the bracket, right? Like this
But
seeds.
you could just see the bracket with
You could,
based on
but-
the ranking and have
but-
like a single elimination bracket.
But whose
thing.
ranking do you suggest they use?
There's this website,
Exactly.
Gosu Gamers. I don't know
Oh,
if you've
okay.
heard of it. They have
So,
like,
the thing
I
is-
think Chiefs is number 3 in the world. So
The thing
they
is,
would
this
use
is-
that.
I know that I work for HLTV.org to do this podcast, right? But this is something which I need to make people very, very, very aware of at home. It's very easy for you in your little fucking armchair to say, they should just, I'm not saying you, Prof, by the way, I'm talking about people at home. You should just use the HLTV.org rankings for
I
everything.
mean, but they are using it. What are they using to see the groups though?
I don't know.
They still have to use a ranking.
I don't
so
know
if they're
what-
using the HLTV for that, they could have just put them in the bracket for the
But
same
that's all right. But that's all right. Just to see the group stage, right? That is not life or death, right? To see the group stage using your ranking is not the end of the world. But if you seeded the bracket using your ranking and like I agree with you. I think your ranking is the best ranking. I'm not fucking out here saying that. But what I'm saying is that the reason that these TOs obviously want to have slight ownership on how these things get decided is because as soon as they give all the power to HLTV.org and say, yep, we're using HLTV.org's, it's a private company, right? Like, and as much as like Martin and Peter and Nomad and everybody, they're cool dudes, it's still a private company. And that is a problem that people need to understand. This isn't something which they're just doing out of the goodness of their fucking hearts. HLTV.org don't just make the ranking because it's fun.
That is all fair, but like, what is the issue with that? Like, it's
So-
just it's
but
a ranking.
we're discussing here, right, about why they have the group stage. That's what we're discussing. They're having the group
I'm
stage.
not saying you have to have it's not like have a group stage or don't have it. I'm just saying this one is fucking useless.
Well,
you literally
to be
eliminate
fair-
one team.
To be fair, it's not. Well, sure, you eliminate one team, but at the same time, like you basically make sure that like the competition is seeded the best way into the bracket where they get so much
On
of an
current
advantage.
form as
If
well.
you have, if you have like Group A first place, they literally have to win one series after that to go through to the finals, right? While if you place only third to fourth, you have to win 3 series in a row to do
It is
that.
true.
So it's like, from that point of view, I don't really mind too much. And obviously, they do it also because they just want to have more matches, right?
Of course.
And they made it this way so that the group stage actually makes sense and not just eliminates one team, right? So I can see the point.
Oh, that's right as well. How many teams make it through to the next stage?
3.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's like a third place decider after that. Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
So
that
the
also
winners
kinda
of each of the semis, and then the third place deciders going through.
okay, that's
Wait, what?
right.
So there's 6 in the group, and how many make it through?
To the second week of
No, it's
competition.
5 in the group.
Yeah.
So there's
Well,
5 in each group, and
Smooya
4
has
make it
lost.
to
4
the
make it through,
brackets.
yeah, okay,
but
okay,
from
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
bracket, they need to get 3 more teams to join the
to
finals.
the real blast event.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
just like a qualifier.
Yeah, because these
But-
were meant to be like stops in different arenas, right? These
Yeah,
were still meant
this
to
is
be
the
like
premiership,
standalone
right?
events. Yeah, exactly.
The
but
one
they
that happened when Complexity, who was it? Navi won against Call, I think.
Complexity beat Astralis at that event.
Yep.
Yeah, but then they lost to Navi in the final. Yeah, okay, so I am on track.
Yeah.
It's that sort of event, not the actual Blast event itself. Yeah.
Well, it's not like a Blast standalone like we had in 2019. It was that group stage led into this, and then this led into the finals, right?
Yeah.
They've kind of actually kept true the best they can. So I suppose we've gone over the names, we've looked at the teams, we can predict who we think is going to win, but maybe have you guys caught any of the broadcast? That's maybe a better angle to go here.
A little bit, yeah.
I think what they've done is great. Like
The individual cameras are a nice touch. That's one thing for sure.
And the guys taking photos and putting on Instagram and stuff of the setups that they have, there's no way that those guys all own that gear. Blast have definitely helped them, right? And that's great that Blast have helped these guys get set up the best they can, because obviously this is a very weird time. What do we find, Striker? How do you feel about the best of one ties being available in the group stage? Is that a problem for you?
I'm always against that because it just fucks up the end result of the group a lot of the time. So it's like, yeah, I just don't like ties in general. So not really a big fan of that.
Okay, what about you, Prof? Do you understand where they're coming from? Do you think they should have done it differently? Do you not have a real issue with it because it's just the qualifier for the qualifier? Like, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. Like, what happens if fucking VP and Dignitas tie the last game and both are that is kind of ridiculous, right? And then it goes down to
you potentially eliminated the best tiebreaker you have. So
yeah, that's like a thing. Like, I didn't think about it. I understand from a broadcast perspective, it's easier to have like a lot of these games not go overtime when you have overtime, not when you have ties. But other than that, the striker angle about like tiebreakers and stuff like that, and just like losing points essentially is kind of fucked. But whatever, I don't have a big opinion. Who cares?
What about
one thing?
Yeah, go for it.
No, I was just gonna switch it. I don't know if you want to still keep it on the broadcast, on the format. Sorry.
I was just going to say to Smooya, from a player's perspective, right, is format something which going into a tournament that is obviously you need to know how many games you need to win or how many games you need to lose to get eliminated. But is format like a big thing for you as a player or as a team going into an event where you're worried about a format, or you care that much about a format, or you just go in there to play the Counter-Strike?
No, it definitely plays a factor. For example, if you have like a DreamHack coming up, you prepare very different because the first day you guaranteed only play 2 best of ones. If you win your first game, it's a best of one. The next game will be a best of one, so you don't have to have the 8. I think one time I played 9 pracs in one day to get ready for an IEM, which was coming because it was only best of 3s, and there was a chance you would play 2 or 3 in one day. Mm-hmm. So you had to be like, we had to sit there like, just be like zombies playing, like holy hell. So it definitely plays a factor because again, if you don't have to have that worry of, fuck, would we rather lose now because we're gonna feel so shit playing 8 hours from now. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. But when you like love the game, because of course I'm still relatively new to the thing, I don't know how it would be for like Neo or Taz because they've played best of 3 since I was born. You know what I mean? So for right now, it's still pretty fresh for me. But yeah, it definitely plays a factor in how you can practice to the event and how you treat it, like when you're there, like how you prepare the day.
Okay. Yeah, the thing is, like, the more I do this, the further I start to move away from how I looked at things as a player, right? Because I see so much more of the business side of things, and I see like the behind the camera, and then I talk to people and they're like, yeah, well, it's an entertainment product and this and that, and it all becomes very difficult for me. The lines start to get blurred a little bit from being like a purist into something which I can see a lot more perspectives. And with the blast stuff, I know that Peter feels very strongly, and you as well, Striker, about having these situations where the groups don't end up in the fashion that is worst case, right? But do you think that we are spoiled in that sense? Like, I hate doing this because one time in Denmark, I had a guy from TV compare Counter-Strike to football when we were discussing why it was important for Henry G and Sadicus to be able to have headphones over their ears and not in ears for 6 hours a day, and explaining the different. And he came back to me and said, "Yeah, but the football commentators don't need sound." And anyway, I went off my tree. But the point here is, do you think that we're, like, this is to anybody, do you think we're spoiled with Counter-Strike in the sense of we are so used to getting the formats which we think are the most desirable within reason, whereas like so many other team sports, I know it's not a sport, but other team things in the world can be settled in a league or in a round robin format or things like that with draws, and then they just go, well, you know, like is Counter-Strike too nuanced to have draws compared to other games or other sports or other disciplines? Is that a thing?
I don't even think that's like the thing about being spoiled with something. I just think there are better ways to do this. Like I didn't think about this exact blast event and how I would do like 10 teams. But the question is like, do we even need 10 teams? Why do we even have 10 teams here? Or like the North American group is like 4-4. Why isn't that just like a GSL that we all know works quite well? And stuff like that, right? So I think it's just CS being a young and progressive thing in the sports term, let's say. It's very young, even though it's 20 years old. And we are constantly looking for edges and improvements. And I think that's good because we don't get into this like, I don't know, football adding cameras is going to break the game. And of course, it didn't break the game and whatever. So we want to progress in any way possible. So I think that's good. Of course, at some point, you have to make a decision, like what is viable financially and stuff like that. So we can't really do like 20 arena days for a single event and stuff like that. But I don't think, like, people that ask that, we can judge that and just move it aside and then judge the things that actually make some sense.
Yeah, fair enough. I think this is one of the things, right? We're constantly learning and we're constantly having to reevaluate this information and decide what we think the core values as a community or what we think the direction this has to be, right? Because one of the things that we are lucky to have that a lot of other titles don't have is we get to be very hands-on. Counter-Strike is something that was organically kind of grown into where it is today, right? And I'm hoping that we can have more discussions where we can talk about what is good and what is bad and what do we hold dear before we get too far away from what we hold dear, right? We have playtime, but we're out of time on the show. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. I know that the producer is probably ready to go to bed. So we're gonna do it like this. Smooya, do you have anything that you want to talk about or anything that you want to say or anything before we close this one down?
Nothing really. They don't really have any sponsors to shout out now because I'm a lone wolf. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys want to sponsor Smooya, you know where to find him.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah. So normally,
I have a question. Just a random question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have an answer for this. This is a thing that affects you. But is there a thing about the CS, either community perception of CS or like things that casters say that annoy you a lot that you think are complete bullshit? Like some ideas that people have about like how
this
CS
is to me,
played.
right?
What? Yeah.
I think MR12 is a bullshit idea, and SPUNJ should stop talking.
There we go.
No, on a serious note, the one thing I hate, like for example, there's definitely some casters that I just mute as soon as I know they're casting because I can't even like deal with the way they not the cast, but one thing that annoys me really hard is when someone who hasn't even played at remotely a top 10,000 player level, like if you haven't even been level 10 on Faceit, don't say that somebody should have done this in a scenario because you don't know what their teammates said in the scenario, what they heard. Because depending on your PC, like sometimes you can play a scenario 100 times and you might hear something different one time, and it's like, I don't know, that thing really annoys me when people like nitpick on like little things and then they're like really terrible at the game themselves. That's what stresses me out. And there's certain casters that do it, and when as soon as I see their name, yeah, instant mute, and I can't watch them listen to it. That's like one thing. And
so we know it can't be Pimp because he obviously is a pretty good player. So
people in chat are literally spamming Pimp. Pimp was literally a top 20 candidate form-wise at one point. Like he was killing people quite well. So it's not definitely not
2013.
It was 2015. I think like
14,
SK
15,
or
I think,
15 Dignitas.
Yeah, he was a beast though in Dignitas.
Yeah.
That's one thing that annoys me.
One of the things we tried to do during the Road to Rio and during Pro League was have rounds where we would get Rush, just the observer, just to observe from like a T side POV and with X-ray off, so like they can see like how little information there is, for example.
Oh yeah, people have no idea how it feels playing as a viewer, you know, like some people don't play it.
But it's a lot because of the broadcast, and SPUNJ is right in this and trying to push this, or whoever's idea it was. Because I suggested that as well, just to see. It doesn't obviously have to be whole matches and stuff, because that's just takes away a lot of information that you kind of want to have as a viewer, right? But at least like a few rounds in a match, you want to see how,
or like a clutch maybe or something.
The realistic, how realistic like some situations are. Like how quickly some of these players have to react when somebody peeks a corner or something like that.
It's crazy,
how well they read information. Because sometimes you just think something is obvious because you see the player on the other side through the wall, right? Or something like that. But that's not the case when you don't have it available. Like the way the players read the game sometimes is absolutely unbelievable if you realize that's what they're doing. But that's just something that doesn't really shine through.
What I think could be a good idea for that is if they somehow got the in-game mini-map from the terrorists as well, because that's a big thing. Because imagine if you're a viewer and you're watching and you're like, fuck, he really had no idea where those 5 guys was, but he walked through a smoke and killed 3 guys from behind. Like that would be really sick. I never even thought about it, but I think that could be pretty good.
So what one of the other things that was on top of the list was there were certain scenarios where if teams were creeping around the map and doing the thing where they were taking the last 30 seconds before they did anything, we would honestly just look at each other in the room and just sit quiet for like 45 seconds just so people could see how little noise there was being made. Unfortunately, in clutch situations, that's when all the hype and shit is coming in and all that, and it's a bit more difficult. But I think one of the main things as well, and I don't think everybody would agree with this. This is just from my personal standpoint. When I go to events and I travel around all the time to these places, I'm in a hotel room. Like I don't have the capabilities with me to be playing Counter-Strike other than on a laptop, and that makes me want to smash my head into the wall. Because it's like, why would I hamstring myself at something that I used to consider myself to be semi-okay at? Now, after the 2 events I just did for ESL, they had a house for us where we had PCs, and I got to play Counter-Strike almost every single day until I got fed up of playing with my colleagues, and then I had to make sure I wasn't in the room. But the thing here is, for me personally, I didn't realize how quick 3 years of my life had quickly gone. And what I'm doing at the moment is trying to play lots of Counter-Strike to kind of relearn everything. I think that's super important because the version of Counter-Strike that I played when I was a professional compared to the version of Counter-Strike that is played today are 2 completely different versions of the game.
The AK sounds different, right?
Mate, like the amount of changes of shit that's happened that is just like stuff that I haven't been able to grind hours
like subtle stuff, right? That you don't see when you're not like POV. When you just see like third person shit, it kind of looks the same. Some maps, that wall's a little bit less silver. It's okay, but yeah, it's really crazy, man.
It's just all those little details. Yeah, hit it, Striker?
One just a completely random idea that I thought of now when you were talking about the sounds, right? What if you had, for a spectator, right? What if you had a feature that would show you, if you're watching from a person's perspective, right? That would show you through the wall, like on the X-ray, that somebody made a step and that player could hear it, right? Like let's say above an opponent, there would show up like a little step icon or whatever. So it's obvious that they made a sound and they could hear it, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
We should copy Valorant and have like the circle. That's actually a cool idea, man.
I actually don't know about that.
Yeah, so on Valorant, whenever you're not holding shift, it shows you exactly how far away someone has to be to hear you. There's like a circle radius, and if they're within that, they can hear you. And I think it's a fucking sick idea.
That's from like today's, like, for yesterday's full release, right? That was like a new thing.
It was in the beta. I think
it
was in the beta.
That was in the alpha. I played like the first day it came out.
Okay.
It was in there.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they had some, and they had on the screen, right, Smooya, in terms of when sound was made, the white lines, like in which direction the sound was coming from. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a little bit.
That's a bit cheating. Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe a little bit too much, because like with the radar, it's kind of taking your focus away a little bit. With this, it's almost like the damage indicators that we have in Counter-Strike, right?
No, but I obviously meant more from a spectator's point of view rather than like from a player's, obviously, because obviously you have commentators, casting over situations like SPUNJ setting clutches. Like you're not going to stay silent for most of it, unless like there's actually nothing going on, And it's pretty important to hear.
I think it would be a cool idea, because I feel a lot of casters say, "Oh, did he hear him?"
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But
if you don't know,
if you know, then you'd be like, "Oh, he heard him. I wonder how he's going to play this and stuff." I think
obviously, it would have to be
really
reliable and not like the flash assists in CS:GO, for example.
They're
That
working
like
on it, right?
Yeah, I don't. Who the fuck knows, right? But that's like something
so
that
bad.
It's pretty obvious that some of these things aren't particularly accurate, where you aren't flash for like 2 seconds anymore, but still get the get flash assisted on or whatever.
Was he full blind?
Yeah. When someone re-peaks after being flashed and dies, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll take that.
You probably wouldn't have re-peaked, right?
Yeah.
All right, boys. I think we've hit the end of episode 21. I think we've made it. I think we've made the whole journey here. Smooya, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. You've been a great guest. It's been good for the banter. I think everybody's enjoyed it here. Striker and Prof, you got anything before we sign off you want to get out there?
I hope the Slovakians don't get too mad at Smooya for.
Oh, boys! Honestly, I have an excuse that I'll save it for another day. I guess.
Okay.
I guess the important thing to say is just everyone stay safe. I wish everyone and their families well, good health and stuff. Yeah, that's it for me.
And I think that's probably the sentiment. So this was episode 21. Head over to anchor.fm/HLTV if you want all the audio options for the podcast. Subscribe to all the Twitters. You'll see them in the chat. We've got obviously the YouTube channel where the VODs for HLTV go up and all that kind of stuff. Not the VODs, fucking videos and shit that they make. Anyway, our VODs go up there somewhere. Now, yeah, we're going to be taking maybe like a week off, I think, before we come back with another podcast. So we don't have a date just yet. But I think what Smooya said is bang on. Just be kind, people. Look after yourselves and take some time for yourself. Meditate. Do some fucking Wim Hof breathing or something like that.
Don't give this shit to the people. Meditate is not important. I tried it and it's shit, but
now when you get old like me and you've made a lot of mistakes in life, it might help you a little bit. But
you've made a lot of money, man. Don't worry about it.
Something like that. Anyway, everybody, good night. We'll see you next time and goodbye.